Hello there, my friends. This is Dr. David checking in. We got about 4 minutes until 0 hour. I am excited to be amongst you once again. This is my little pre-game warm-up, my little pre-game administrative stuff right now. Remember, if this is your first time with Planet David, remember that we don't do standard 90-minute webinars. Our webinars are very content-heavy. They're focused on very actionable things that you can take away out into the field tonight and start seeing the effects for getting what you want. Now, people always have questions and people always want to know about things that may not be germane to the topic we're on. Tonight's topic is about influencing humans, influencing yourself in an ethical, honest manner that absolutely gets everything you want by showing other people how to get what they want by doing what you want. It's a very powerful system. It's stood the test of time. Now you're going to have questions, and that's cool. I love questions. But a couple of things. First and foremost, if you have a question, please, we have people monitoring chats. If I can answer your question and it doesn't take us too far off track, I will. However, if I don't see your question, because as people pile in at the last minute and the questions fly by at the speed of light, I may often miss your question. Keep asking it. That's the first way to get your question answered. The second way to get your question answered is there will be veterans of Planet David in both chats, both on our Zoom group and our YouTube family. If you have experience, my veterans, if you have experience answering these questions or have experience dealing with these problems, feel free to chime in your input or your answers and how you use our techniques to solve those problems. The third way to get your question answered. At the end of this video, there will be a few minutes while the video processes, and the replay will be immediately available on our YouTube channel. If you go to the comments section below this video replay and you type in your question, I make it a practice to review those chats for days and weeks afterwards, making sure that all the questions are answered and the people get pointed in the direction they need to get the information they came for. That's my commitment to you. Now, I'll be logging on right at 4 o'clock. I'll go through some other administrative stuff that needs to get out of the way. But one of the things I really want to stress to you, this is not going to be a short 90-minute webinar where I just say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And if you just buy my stuff, you'll get everything you need. We're not going to do that. There is an offer connected to this particular presentation. There's 3 stages to the webinar. During the first stage, we're going to give you as much actionable, useful, practical information that you can take out into the world and use right away. The second half is going to be the offer we've put together for you. And then at the end, part 3 of the webinar, we'll circle back to the foundations we laid in the first half, or the first part of the webinar, and we'll continue to teach content that is designed specifically to the people on this webinar tonight. Why you came, what you want to get out of it, and we will drill those things together until you feel that you have a pretty good handle on those things. That's my commitment to you. Okay. And here's my last little thing before we actually move into the better part of the webinar. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of the next 3 hours. Make sure that you have lots of stuff to write with. Make sure you have things to write on. I mean, I know you guys want to type on your tablets, and that's cool, but the more you physically write these things out, the more powerfully they take. The more experiences you have, and that's our job here, is to give you the experience. Do the drills, get the skills. We're gonna get right into content. We're gonna teach. Again, I'm gonna repeat a lot of this in just a minute because people are piling in at the last minute, and some of you may have missed it. In fact, it is 4 o'clock now, so why don't I just go ahead and stop sharing, put on the video, and say, hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to Secrets of Human Influence for Success, Health, Wealth, Attraction, and Happiness. I'm Dr. D, and I'm here to teach you some of the most powerful human influence skills I've ever come across, and certainly many of the world's leading authorities on persuasion and influence have felt the same way. So just before I get into more of the administrative stuff, just so I understand you all better, let me ask a question. How many of you, by typing in the chat, are first timers? How many of you are brand new to Planet David? Go ahead and type in the chat your name, where you're checking in from, and if this is your first time or not. Okay? If you are a veteran of Planet David, I'm going to be leaning on you heavily throughout the course of this webinar. If you've been in Planet David 6 months or longer and have actually used these things out in the field, please type your name, how long you've been in Planet David, and which material specifically you used. Type that in the chat. Go ahead and do that now. I'll wait. Okay, here, let me see. Dragonfly is new. Cool. Excellent. We got a healthy, it looks like we got a nice healthy mix of new people. Hold on a second. You know what? I just realized I didn't have my record on. Let me just do this really quick. Hey, now we're good. Okay. So, first and foremost, let me go back to my earlier disclaimer. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of your time. My goal here is to give you hardcore, real word proven, solid, actionable information. Information that you can take out into the world and put to use immediately, right? And one of the cool things about persuasion and influence, and a lot of people have some baggage around this subject, but let's be honest. In a world governed by the rule of law, and in many cases by the law of the jungle, the ability to get somebody to willingly, eagerly, happily do what you want them to do is the ultimate survival skill. It's the ultimate business and success and relationship skill. So whether, regardless of what word, how you feel about influence techniques, you have to understand that everything human beings do is about effective communication. And that's all influence really is effective communication, right? Is there anybody here who doesn't want to be able to communicate more effectively? Right? How many people here would like to communicate more effectively? Right? Would that be a useful skill? Right? So I just want to put this out there is that many of you have heard the old chestnut that persuasion is just a tool and that it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. And that's true enough to be true. But you know what? There are villains out there. There are people who use these skills in a way that's not a win-win, in a way that leaves people worse off than they were found. And so one of the things that I want to really stress, I'm going to change the angle on my camera a little bit here. Which one do you guys like better? You like the long shot, the medium shot, or the middle shot? What do you think? Which one do you like better? You like the middle? Okay, let's see. One more time. Okay, I'll do this one more time. I like to play. I like to have a good time. So this is the middle shot. This is the long shot. This is the close-up. Which one do you guys like? You like the close-up? Okay. All right. I'm probably going to bounce around anyway, just because how many of you, by the way, are in some form of influence and persuasion job? In other words, where you have to actually get people to want to do the things you want them to do. Anybody? Just type it in the chat. Right? Because if you're not interested in influencing humans, you really shouldn't be here. Right? Okay. So one of the first things I want to share with you, and this is a free tactic that I actually learned by a lady named Vanessa Van Edwards, who did a very intensive study on, of all things, TED Talks. One of the things that she discovered was people who are very successful as TED speakers use a lot of hand gestures. Now, how does that relate to what we're doing? First and foremost, remember I asked you which of these shots you like better, right? Now, most of you do hybrid presentations. You've done Zoom presentations for the last 24 months. The fact that you can now see my hands makes me actually much more open and trustworthy. The fact that you can see my gestures allows you to feel more open and understanding of what I'm saying. And so this is something that I want to share with you for those of you who do any kind of Zoom presentations. When you present, show your hands. And if you can see the gesturing, like obviously my virtual background gets in the way a little bit, but this is a very powerful way to come across more authentically, more dynamically, and eliminate boredom and Zoom fatigue. The human body likes motion. The human mind loves activity. And so the more active and animated you are when you're presenting, the more charismatic you become. Does that make sense? Even if it doesn't, don't believe me, test it. See what happens. Right? Now, a lot of people like to see my smiling face, and I get that. But I wanted to give you that, why I was asking, because I like to be here. But some people want it close up. But if you're close, the closer up you get, it's harder to see my hands. You see that? So you're going to see me bouncing around a little bit, but the gestures are really important. For those of you who are in my advanced Mega Platinum classes and my Unlimited Influence coaching classes, you guys know even more powerfully what we can do with hands in any form of interaction and communication. If you're interested in those classes, my veterans are happy to tell you about that. So first and foremost, for those of you who are new, one of the questions that commonly comes up is, who is Dr. David Snyder and why should I care? First and foremost, I am an actual doctor of Chinese acupuncture and Oriental medicine. I graduated I got my doctorate in, let me read, I'll just put it on the screen for you. So as you can see here, this is a copy of my diploma from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. I've had a practice in Solana Beach where I've specialized in treating physiological illness that is rooted in repressed emotions since 2005. So I've been in practice almost 17 years, give or take. But we're here about influence and persuasion, so let's talk about that. For the past 5 or 6 years, probably more, I've been voted among the top 2 NLP trainers of the year by globalgurus.org. I've held that number 1 position, pretty much for the last 7 years. I've authored over 15 different products on various forms of human influence. Actually more than that now, but you can verify those. Okay? Everything from how to sell better, how to attract the love of your life and influence them, how to heal people through the use of your words and language and energies. I've done very many forms of NLP and hypnotherapy trainings as well. So we have lots and lots and lots of product that's available to teach you how to take these skills to another level. This is a copy of a letter I received from Global Gurus, and it says here, Dr. David, it is with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP. And if you click on this link here, you'll see that, yes, in fact, our course, Killer Influence, was named the #1 training of all of these. Now, I didn't even know that I was in the running for this. We were voted #1 training product in 2020, I believe it was, but we are also voted once again in 2022. I think they do this like every couple of years, so I just wanted to share this with you. And one of the reasons I'm sharing this with you is because much of the technique, much of the training and the information that you're going to be learning today comes from this course and subsequent iterations of it, right? So a lot of the information that we're going to be working with today also comes from my martial arts background. I am a lifelong martial artist. I have a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan Kempo Karate, 4th degree black belt in Shaolin Kung Tao, 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ryu, 1st degree black belt in Fankuru Jiu-Jitsu. I'm also a certified instructor in combat sistema, single mano eskrima, and modern arnis. And as you can see here, I like to make a joke. I've got more energy healing credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. I've been a Reiki master since before Reiki was cool. I'm an advanced pranic healer and pranic psychotherapist, as well as an advanced DNA theta healer. I'm trained in the Bengston energy healing method, which is one of the most powerful manifesting tools I've ever discovered. And finally, I've got many different Qigong systems under my belt, no pun intended. I've been studying Kabbalah and Hermetics. I've been studying Kabbalah since before Madonna ever heard of Kabbalah. So I'm very much a prima donna, as you might say. Right? When you look at all this stuff, one of the things that often comes to mind is, so what? What do all these things have in common? And that is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition, everything human beings do, everything human beings think, everything, the way they move, has a structure to it. Those structures repeat. Those patterns repeat. And when you begin to understand how to recognize those patterns, and then not just recognize them, but actually use them, human behavior, human influence, not only becomes very, very predictable, it also becomes very, very malleable. You can make people want to do the things that you want them to do, and they'll like you for it because you know how to link what they want and need to what you want and need in a way that's natural and normal and desirable for them. So pattern recognition, this somewhat esoteric skill, is actually at the core of all the things that human beings do. So when you ask, what does all this have to do with human influence? Pretty much everything, guys. Pretty much everything. I'm going to jump out of my PowerPoint really quick. But let's just make sure that we're in the right place. And I want to do, again, because some of you are new, I want to do some housekeeping really, really quick. So once again, just to reiterate, if politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, my intention is never, ever, ever, ever to offend anyone. But my style of teaching many times, especially when I'm doing therapeutics and when I'm teaching people how to heal their own minds and bodies, my style is very provocative. So I do want you, as you go through this process with me tonight, to pay attention to when you have an overly exaggerated emotional response to something, positive or negative. It's okay. The ones that tend to take up our attention most are actually the negative ones. Okay, and I'm going to teach you some ways to kind of circumvent that and neutralize them a little bit. But I want you to really pay attention to the things that provoke you a little bit, because those are the areas where we need to do the most work. And we have tools for that. Obviously, this course is on human influence, and so I want to make sure that you come away with actionable material, tools that you can, tonight, immediately after this webinar, take out into the world and put to work. Okay? So I gave you one right off the bat about when we're on a Zoom call like this. Even though some people might find this distracting, it really is only distracting if it's too frenetic. But when you use your words for emphasis, it's easier to relate and really take in the full communication. Okay? So that was the first technique I want you to start using right away, is I want you to have more dynamism in the way you present. Okay? The next thing I want to share with you, I'm going to give you like 2 or 3 things right off the bat. The second thing is, how many of you, by a show of hands, or actually by a show of me, that's me in the chat, would like to be up to 31% better at everything? Anybody here? Okay. Here's all you got to do. Take everything I'm going to teach you in this webinar and everything you're going to learn in the future with a more fun, playful, explorational attitude. Okay, now that particular statistic, up to 31%, actually comes from a discipline that is known for how easy it is to get people to do stuff. It's called hostage negotiation, right? Originally, I learned this from a guy named Chris Voss. You probably might have heard of him. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And what the FBI researchers discovered was that when the hostage negotiator entered the interaction with a more fun, playful, easygoing, let's see what happens energy, he was up to 31% more perceptive, 31% more creative and adaptable, 31% more likable, 30% more intelligent, made better decisions. And this I think is what I really want to kind of get across to you. His counterpart, the hostage taker, the bad guy, was actually up to 31% more compliant. In other words, he was up to 30% more willing to do what the negotiator wanted him to do. Would that be useful in your world? If people in your life were 30% or more open to your influence, more willing to do what you want them to do, would that change your life in any way, shape, or form? What would you do with 30% more sales, 30% more clients, 30% less arguments? We're going to start with that. So this is an explorational workshop. In other words, I want you to actually do some drills. We have a saying in Planet David: do the drills, get the skills. And so my job here is to share as much information with you as the time that we have, and give you experiences, not just give you data. Because if I give you data, you're going to write it down, you're going to take notes, and you're going to shove those notes in a drawer and never fucking use them. Okay? What I want to do is something a little bit different. I want to give you experiences. I want to give you not just borrowed information. I want you to experience things that change the way you view the world and yourself in it, and your sense of possibilities. So I'm going to ask that when it's time to do drills, you actually do the drills. Now, caveat: if you're driving or operating machinery of any kind that requires your full and undivided attention, don't do these drills. Don't do them. Wait until the replay, or pull off to the side of the road, put the car in park, put the emergency brake on, turn the engine off, make sure you won't get towed away, and then do the drills in a place where it's safe to do that. Okay? Safety first, success second. All right? So, here's the thing though. If this is the scope of every single thing that I have to share with you tonight, we have time for this much. It's going to be powerful, but it's still just a tiny, tiny piece of what's available to you. So my commitment to you is this. I will take you as far as I can in the time that we have. I will lay the foundations during the first third of the webinar. Then I will transition to the offer that we put together for you, and I will point you in the direction of where to go to level your skills up, if that's what you want to do. Is that fair? If you think that's a fair trade, go ahead and type that in the chat for me. Good. All right. So, again, use your hands whenever possible. Okay? When you're doing hybrid communications, the more nuances you have in your vocal tonalities and things of that, the more influential and charismatic you're going to be. Third key, be fun, playful, explorational in everything you do. Think about going through the world, making everyone you meet feel ridiculously good just for having interacted with you. When you embody that philosophy, when you embody that concept, people will just start giving you stuff. Opportunities will just come your way. But you don't have to believe me. And that brings me to another point about the content of tonight's webinar. First and foremost, you don't have to believe a single thing I'm saying. All you have to do is do the technique. Do the drill, you get the skill. We've taken a great deal of time, energy, and effort to field test these things and distill them down to a set of mechanical processes that you follow. You do not have to believe them. But there is a system at play. Now, we don't have time to do all 7 stages of the system. The system is drawn from is known as the CPI system, which is also known as the critical path of influence. It's the foundation of our killer influence system. So what I'm going to do in the time that we have is I'm just going to give you some solid, hardcore radioactive nuggets that you can take out into the field and test right away. I'm going to give you demos. I'm going to point you in the direction. Now, for the first half of the webinar, or third of the webinar, I'm going to lay the foundations, right? I'm going to show you the underpinnings. I'm going to give you the experiences that form the bedrock of everything we're going to build together. At about the 1 hour mark, I'm going to transition into the package that we've put together for you, tell you a little bit about it, give you guys a chance to decide if you want to level your skills up in that direction or not. For part 3 of the webinar, we're going to circle back to the foundations we laid in part 1. And I'm going to continue to teach from those foundations, but I'm going to target the information to exactly what you most want to learn about. Now, obviously, with 100, 200, 300 people on the webinar, I can't get to everybody, so I got to go by majority rules, right? And I'll give you some choices that is really, what the majority of you want. But again, we're always here to help. So let's just be sure. How do we know that this stuff is actually relevant to us? I'm gonna just throw some stuff out there, and if this particular desire is in your worldview, it's something you want more of in your life, just type "that's for me" in the chat. Okay, how many of you want to be more super attractive to the opposite sex? Maybe make them find you charming, fascinating, or irresistible. Anybody here want to be more attractive? How many people would like to stop being afraid, banish insecurity from their life, and get more of the confidence and assertiveness that they've been waiting for? Cool. How'd you like to make more money from your job? Book more clients? Be more charismatic? Protect yourself from evil, vile manipulators? A lot of that goes into this, right? Having people thinking, feeling, and acting the way you want them to? Perfect, right? Nail job interview after job interview, right? Surround yourself with loyal, friendly, trustworthy friends. Would all these things be desirable for you? Yes? Yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker likes to say, right? Perfect. So here's my personal promise to you. Let me go ahead and do this. If you stay until the end of the webinar tonight, I'm going to teach you the fastest, most powerful, and ethical way to influence anyone to like, love, trust, and obey you. pretty much in any context. I'm going to teach you how to have people hanging on your every word, how to have them salivating, literally in many cases, to do what you want them to do, right? How to control your emotions and remove resistance to your influence. This is a big one. Usually on part 3 of the webinar, this is the one that everybody wants to know about. And finally, I'm going to teach you the exact steps needed to go from interesting information to maximum transformation in minimum time. So you're going to do this by learning the secret backdoor into the human nervous system that gives you unstoppable influence and maximum attention, focus, and connection. This is literally, guys, the most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment, and why. I want to teach you tonight the secrets of emotional bonding and attraction, the hidden secret that is behind how to get any human being to actually want what you want them, want to do what you want them to do. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. These are 4 categories of influence that, when you combine them together, create very predictable types of compliance in your world. And finally, we're going to talk about removing resistance to your influence. There's a very little known formula for causing people to get them to actually want to do what they just told you they did not want to do. It's completely ethical, honest, and it works in ways you wouldn't even believe. I've literally used this to argue somebody out of being in physical pain. You can actually see that video on YouTube. We're going to teach you how to take control of your life, get the life you want, the way you want it, and master yourself inside and out. That's on the agenda for tonight, and I will take you as far as I can. So that being said, this is the system. This is the CPI Killer Influence System. We don't have time for every single aspect of this system, and we'll show you how to get the full training later. But I want to drill down tonight on the first couple of rings, the state control aspect and the rapport aspect. So the way you do this is, once you've created an outcome, and this is where you have to start. In fact, it's so important that we actually just assume you have this. If you don't have this, using any of this material becomes very, very challenging. So you got to know your outcome. So what do we mean when we say know your outcome? It means knowing what you want and how you know you're getting it. Okay? Now, if this were an NLP class, which it is not, by the way, if this were an NLP class, NLP would say it's got to be calibratable through one of the 5 senses. It has to be time-based. It has to be completely dependent on your actions alone and nobody else's. That's not really, you don't need to go that in depth. What you do need to have, though, is you need to know exactly what you want and a way to measure if you're moving towards it or not. Okay? Now, your outcomes don't have to be these long, complicated, grandiose objectives. They can be very simple things, like getting somebody to like you, or closing a sale, or getting somebody's phone number, or getting that call back for that job interview that everybody's fighting to get, right? Or that promotion that you're going for. There's simple, measurable ways. Again, if you have that already in your head and established, everything we're going to teach you falls into place. If you don't, a lot of times it's very difficult to start. And most of the time when people call me and start asking me why this is so hard, I ask, well, what's your outcome? They go, you would think people would know, but they don't. It's a very, very common problem that we have in influence and persuasion. We're kind of moving through the world with these techniques and no clear goal to aim them at. Or if we do know the goal, we don't actually have a way to measure if we're moving towards it or not, right? I wrote a book back in 2003, 2004. It's a controversial title. It was called Secret Orgasm Tips, right? And it was a bestseller on the ClickBank marketplace. And in that chapter, there was one chapter that said how to make any system of attraction and dating and pickup work for you. And it was a very simple idea that people completely didn't get until I wrote it very explicitly in the chapter. And that is simply this. The ability to make any system of influence work is based on your ability to calibrate through the 5 senses, measure if you're moving towards your goal or away from it, right? So again, that idea of being able to measure and read the people in front of you is a key factor in how well you leverage these techniques, okay? So the first technique I'd like to share with you is, let me show you this really quick again. This is what I call a bridging technique, but it's easily one of the most powerful influence techniques out there. It's so simple and so powerful, it's almost unfair. This is the technique that allows us to bridge from the rapport phase to the hypnotic language phase. And this technique, I've made a lot of videos about it during every single course I teach. I always teach it. Why do I always teach this technique? It's because it is the most powerful way to get anybody, to literally force another human being's nervous system to pay attention to you, regardless of anything else that's going on. Okay? So this technique is called the echo technique. The most powerful words any human being can hear are the words that just came out of their mouth. So once upon a time, I was doing a training in Israel. And part of the group that I was working with were our research and development people. These were professional smart guys, right? And I was brought in to help facilitate communication with these people. And I was talking about this echo technique. And there was this one guy right in front row. And you ever notice, like, you ever see somebody who's like sitting there and all of a sudden they like smell something bad? It's like you just see his face getting all twisted up, and he starts to turn away. And at one point he just can't handle it anymore. He just looks at me and goes, "I don't believe it." And I had a moment there where I was like, okay, am I going to be a dickhead, or am I going to be polite about this? So I said, well, I'll do a little bit of both. And so I looked at him and I said, "You don't believe it?" He goes, "No, I don't believe it." I said, "You don't believe it? Why specifically don't you believe it?" And he starts going off on all these reasons why he doesn't believe it. And so all I did for the next 5, 6, 7 minutes was repeat his words back to them in the form of a question or a statement or a reflection of what he said. And he's just getting more and more animated, more and more talkative, and all of his friends around him are just looking at it. And I let him talk for like 5, 6, 7 minutes. And then as politely and gently as I can, because I wanted to be invited back, I looked at him and I said, "Sir, have you realized that for the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, all I've been doing is giving you back your very own words?" And he looked at me like I was crazy. And he looked at his friend to his left, and his friend went. And he looked at his friend to his right, and his friend went. And I don't know if you've ever seen the old Bugs Bunny cartoons where like Yosemite Sam or Daffy Duck, drinks a whole bottle of hot sauce and the red just kind of goes up and the steam pours out of their ears. That was this guy. He turns beet red and he's about to say something and he gets this, and all of a sudden everything just crashes. He just gets this defeated look on his face. And he goes, "Are we really so stupid?" And I said, "Sir, you're not stupid. You're selfish. Every nervous system on the planet is selfish. There's this phenomenon in human psychology known as projection. We're moving through the world, projecting out into the world our own idealized, stylized way the world works. And we're looking for the world to reflect back to us, ourselves. And so when a person hears their very own words coming back to them, it literally, they orient on it like a bead of honey. They can't turn away. How many of you have ever been to a party? Anybody have been into a party? Like a really noisy one, right? You've been at a party, right? And maybe you're across the room, right? But all of a sudden, somebody on the other side of the room says your name. And from across a crowded, noisy party room, you just, boom, you just look at them, right? Because you heard your name. Why? It's because the unconscious mind is always attending to this, the environment around it, looking for relevance, things that are relevant to itself. Okay? So what happens is when you use the echo technique, you literally force a person's neurology to pay attention to you, to the exclusion of everything else. Now, you don't have to believe this. All I want you to do is go out into the world and use people's very own words. I'll give you a short demo in a minute, but I want to give you some other things that this particular technique does for you. How many of you hate small talk? Like you're in line at a Starbucks, or you're in line at the grocery counter, and somebody tries to talk to you, but you don't have anything to say. Like you don't mind talking about these really cool blown. How many people just would rather nail? Yeah, exactly, right? Here's what's cool. The moment you start using the echo technique, it primes a person's neurology for self-disclosure. It makes them want to talk more. Now here's the best part about that. The longer you talk, the more connected, attracted, and trusting of you they become. And all you've got to do is give them their very own words back to them. So let's look at the notes I've got for you here. You might want to write these down. First and foremost, the echo technique is easily the most powerful, most ethical way to communicate with another human being, because it literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention to you to the exclusion of everything else. It teaches you how to eliminate the problem of making small talk and eliminates boring conversations. This is one of the things that blew me away when I started playing with this. When you start feeding a person's very own words back to them, they feel instantly heard, understood, validated, connected with. And that is a feeling that they have been desperate to experience their entire lives. Stop for a moment and think about the last person who you felt truly heard you, that could truly understand your point of view, that understood where you were coming from, and completely was in harmony with it, that completely got you at the deepest level. Think about what that felt like, to have this person communicating with you. Was it a good feeling? Yes or yes? What if you could move through the world making every single person you interact with feel that way? What do you think would happen? Right? This is how you do it. Okay? You just use their very own words. And again, it takes the burden of conversation off of you. In other words, when you start deploying this technique, people are going to open up. They're just going to run off at the mouth. Let them speak, because the longer they speak, the more connected you become, or they become to you. Okay? Are you guys with me so far? Yes or yes? Okay. Now, people often ask, well, what if I get caught? You probably won't. I challenge you to go get caught with this. Okay? When I was doing the little thing in Israel, right? The guy I was talking to, the guy I was directing my influence at, never picked up on it. Everyone around him did, because it wasn't their words. It was his words. Do the words have to be in sequence, Rob says? For training purposes, I make all of my students learn to do it in sequence. As you get better at it and your brain recalibrates to being able to remember longer and longer strings of information, you can do them, you start to be able to mine their exact words for the really hot emotional words. There are certain words we call personal trance words or window words that have a deep emotional meaning to people. As you get more advanced with the echo technique, those words will rise to the surface, and you'll be able to modulate from just pure string of verbatim words all the way up to just very key, highly reactive words that their neurology is key to respond to. Okay? So, great question. Okay? Both work. But I when I'm training people, and this is what I'm going to be training you to do today, when you use this process, try to stick as close to their exact words as humanly possible. Okay? I'll do a demo in just a minute, but I want to get through some of the notes on this for you. Okay? Is this useful stuff, guys? Is this helping you? Okay. Now, people often ask, I'm going to warn you right up front that when you go to do this technique, a lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you will feel a little weird. You'll feel like it's obvious what's going on. We call that the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is a form of self-consciousness that bubbles up from inside whenever you start to deviate from your natural, normal, everyday way of doing something. You know that you're doing something different from what you would normally do, and you project, because you know you're doing something different, that everybody around you will know it too. I challenge you to go out and have fun with this. And by the way, be respectful with it. And here's what I mean. If you do this on people who have to serve you, like the attendants at Starbucks, or waitresses or bartenders, people who have to serve you, they will start to like you a whole lot. Like a lot. And while that may not seem like a real problem, what will tend to happen is they will become so connected to you that they will oftentimes ignore their other customers. And that could get them in trouble. It may get you a few free desserts and a few free coffees, but it may get them in trouble in the long run. So, go out, have fun with this technique, be playful with it, and watch the responses that you get, and be prepared, because once that you deploy this effectively with somebody, and honestly, right, here's the secret to making this ethical. And here's how I point it. The echo technique is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most desirable, ethical, and honest way for one human being to communicate with another human being. Period, end of story. Now, I'm going to suggest that if you decide to incorporate this technique into your life, if you want to make it as part of your natural way of moving through the world, you adopt it for one simple reason. It is the single most powerful way every human being on the planet is hardwired neurologically to be responsive to. That's why the moment a person gets their very own words back, they can't not listen. And in any form of relationship, the person who can garner the most attention garners the most bandwidth in the brain, the most real estate in the brain. So when you start using this, people are going to pay attention to you. They're going to feel heard, validated, understood. Now, if you met somebody who made you feel that way, made you feel completely understood, completely heard, completely approved of, accepted on every level, what would you not do to spend more time with this person? Would you want to spend less time or more time with them? Type it in the chat. More time, right? This is what I mean. People, once they experience this connection with you, will not want to go away. They won't want you to go away. And so they will do things and find things, reasons to hang out with you more and more. Anybody here ever been in high school or elementary school? Anybody? Do you ever notice that in every class there's somebody who you just want to spend more time with? Like you find yourself, maybe sometimes you find yourself coming up with all kinds of silly reasons just to be in the same room with them. What would it be like to be that person? Because that's what happens when you do this right. Right? Perfect. All right, you guys are all, I think we're all on the same page here with this. So let's go through this really quick. Vanessa says, I was that person in school. Good for you. Let's take it even further, right? So, it'll force a person's neurology to pay attention to you. It'll eliminate the problem with small talk. Well, Vanessa, we're going to help you get that gift back. It's going to prime your target to keep talking and give you more and more information about themselves at the same time. Remember what I said earlier, the more you know about somebody, the easier it is to influence them. One of my teachers in kinesic interview and interrogation, he was Professor Danny Johnson, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma City. He used to say, start with what you know, but he would also say, if I know you better than you know me, I can influence you. If I know you better than you know yourself, wait for it, I can control you. So a big part of being effective at influence is the ability to perceive subtle verbal and nonverbal communications, the nuances that most people miss. When you start using this echo technique, people are literally going to volunteer ridiculous amounts of information about themselves, because the moment they get their words coming back to them, they feel heard, understood, validated, a connection forms, and they're in that flow. And they want to make sure you get it right. They want to give you more stuff because they want to keep that flow of validation coming. And I want you to adopt this idea of moving through the world, giving people that one gift that they've been looking for their whole lives without even realizing it. And if you do that, if you adopt that attitude with this technique, there is nothing ever unethical about it, because you're moving through the world giving people the gift they most want. The gift of understanding, the gift of validation, the gift of acceptance. And who do all those wonderful feelings get linked to? You. Is that a good thing? Yes or yes? Okay. Now, let's say, worst case scenario, somebody actually catches you. Right? Let's say you're talking, I'm going to give a demo to you in a minute. But let's say you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden he goes, why are you repeating back every word I say? Well, all you got to do is look at him and say, well, I'm doing that because I just want to understand you better. Is that okay? Now, if somebody looks at you and says, no, I don't want you to understand me better, that's a big red flag. It's their problem, not yours, right? It is possible with this technique to be disingenuous with it, and it will still work. But if you embody the idea that this is the gift that you have to give to the world, that you know in your heart of hearts, not just because I said so, but because you've proven it by actually doing it out in the real world, that this is the most desirable, validating, affirming, connection-making technique that you can share with another person, and you choose not to use it. Think about that for a moment. If you knew the most powerful, desirable way that a human being wanted to be communicated with, and you deliberately did not use it, who's the asshole now? Who's being unethical now? Right? So, again, now that you understand, I encourage you to adopt this as your standard operating procedure, the natural way you move through the world. Okay? Now, I first wrote about this technique in 2005. And the demo that I often did is that I would often, when I had a martial arts school in Coral Springs, Florida. And the thing about my school was I started it with no money at all. I was completely broke. I was so poor I couldn't pay attention. But I did have a few techniques from some books that I'd learned and some courses I'd invested in early on. And I knew the power of something we're going to talk about very shortly called the emotional bonding checklist, which is based on the echo technique. It's a little bit deeper study, but it's based on this idea of using a person's exact words. And so I knew that if I could give somebody what their own emotional desires were and link it to my product or service, that people would want to do what I wanted them to do. So when people would call my martial arts studio, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you went a half a mile in any direction from where I had my class, some of the biggest martial arts schools, professional martial arts schools in the world were within a half-mile radius of where I was teaching. So I needed every single advantage I could to get clients to join my school and to teach them more effectively. And if you use the echo technique properly, teaching people becomes so easy, so effective. Therapy of any kind, if you're a coach, a psychotherapist, psychiatrist, hypnotherapist, life coach, whatever. Influencing people to do the things you want them to do that are in their best interest becomes ridiculously easy. Getting the backstory on so many things that they want to clear becomes very, very easy. But this is what it would sound like back in the days when I was in my early 20s and I was trying to build a business. It would go, ring, ring. Good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Oh, hey, David. My name is Bernice, and I see you have a karate school. I'm curious, if you teach children, I'm looking for karate lessons for my 10-year-old son, Josh. Oh, hey, Bernice, how you doing? So you called, you said you saw that I have a karate school, and you're wondering if I had uh, lessons for kids for your 10-year-old son, Josh. Is that right? Yeah. Don't laugh. They do that, right? Yeah, yeah. Do you have something like that for my son? Well, I might actually have something like that for your son. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Josh and what's important to you about martial arts lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Well, David, I'm glad you asked. See, Josh is a really good kid. He's super smart. He's about 10 years old. And in fact, he's so smart that his teachers moved him up a grade. And so he's going into a grade a full year ahead. And I'm worried that, because he's a little smaller than the other kids, that he might get picked on. And I'd heard that martial arts was a really good way for kids to build self-confidence and focus and really just kind of get ahead in life. Oh, I see. So Josh, you said he was a really good kid. He's really smart. So smart, in fact, that his teachers moved him up a grade. And if I heard you correctly, you were worried that he was a little smaller than the rest of the kids. The kids were a little bigger than him, and you felt that they might pick on him. Yeah, David, that's right. Can you do anything about it? And just to be clear, Bernice, you also said that you heard that martial arts was a good way for kids to be focused and more confident and really get ahead in life. Yeah, David, can you help me? Absolutely, Bernice, absolutely. You see, for centuries, the martial arts has been a tremendously powerful way for smaller people to be able to protect themselves from bigger, larger opponents. It's something that naturally fosters excellent focus and concentration and self-confidence, so that as Josh goes through life, not only will he be able to protect himself from the bigger kids who may pick on him, he'll be more focused. He'll have greater powers of concentration. He'll have the ability to walk and carry himself with that self-confidence that he needs, and it'll help him to really be successful in life and in school. Now, we have two options available for you. We have an introductory class today at 5:30. It comes with 2 private lessons and 1 group class and a free t-shirt. We have a slot available for Josh at 5:30 today, and we have one tomorrow at 6:15. Which course or which class do you think would be a better fit for Josh? Well, let me think. It sounds really, really good. Can I book him for tomorrow at 6:15? Because I think then I can have him do his homework, have his dinner, and he can be really focused for the class. Great. So we'll see you tomorrow at 6:15 after Josh has had his dinner and gotten his homework done, and he'll be really focused and ready to have the best time of his life and really get that confidence and that ability to focus and pay attention and get on moving on that fast track towards success in life. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6:15. Do you have any other questions before I take your name and address and get the scheduling done? No, David, I think that's good. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I'm really excited for Josh. Great. We look forward to seeing you and Josh, and we're excited to see you too. You have a great day. Click. All right, what did you notice? I see a lot of chatter going on in here. What did you notice? How much of what I said was actually original? Like, you had Bernice over here, you had David over. She did absolutely feel heard, didn't she? Right? I said Josh a lot. Yeah. I used their words. 80-90% of everything that came out of my mouth came from the customer. I didn't get the name, address, and phone number. Did I really need to do that? You zoned in on that one thing, right? Anyway, actually, they'd usually call back. They'd get so excited about that. But listen, 99 times out of 100, they'd show up, right? When people talk to you, believe it or not, this is actually, you can research this in a book called The Light Switch by a guy named Jack Schaefer. When people talk to you, he calls it the golden rule of friendship. We instinctively like people who make us feel good about ourselves. Okay? We instinctively like people who make us feel good about ourselves. When you give the echo technique as part of your interaction, you're giving people tremendously good feelings about themselves. But here's the best part of that. Who are they looking at when those good feelings come up? When they feel heard and understood and validated? Who are they looking at? Exactly. Guess who gets linked to all those feelings? Carlos says, my beautiful face. Yes, your beautiful face, Carlos. Exactly. This is how it works. It's literally, guys, it's literally that simple. I used everything they said. I built tremendous amounts of rapport in minutes, literally. That whole demo was, what, maybe 2 or 3 minutes long, right? That's how fast, and it can create lifelong attachments. It can create lifelong connections. So you have to be careful sometimes who you use this with. You have to have a little discernment, right? Okay. Questions about the echo technique before we move on to the next piece? Yeah, 80% their words, 20%. And the beautiful thing about this, once again, is that it takes the burden, of carrying the conversation off of you and onto them. And here's the thing, don't use this during speed dating and other stuff like that. Here's what I want you to, I don't want to front load you with the experience, but I'll give you this for nothing. When that conversation is over, even though 20% of the conversation was you, they will think you are the most fascinating, interesting, charismatic human being they have ever met. If somebody's angry with you and you start echoing their words, they'll start calming down. It's crazy, but it works. Okay? EP, my bad, it was your bone. A lot of interesting conversations going on in the chat there. Okay, so again, echo technique, powerful. It's going to factor in to every single thing that we're going to do throughout the rest of this webinar. Okay, so the next piece I want to share with you is the next layer, and I actually used it a little bit in my last demo. You see, everything human beings do is based on a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Does anybody not understand what I'm saying? Okay. So, there's, let me show you this really quick. I was wondering if I was going to use this today or not. As you can see, I have a lot of notes. Okay. What you're looking at here is what NLP calls the hierarchy of beliefs, or the logical levels of belief. Human beings have these things called beliefs, and they work in a hierarchy. The beliefs at the top control the beliefs below it. So if I have a belief that's held at the spirituality or purpose level or the identity level, everything below it is controlled by what's up here. Are you following me so far? Type in the chat if you're following me, because again, this can get a little heady. When you start using the echo technique, whether it's very in depth or very superficial or shallow, you start stimulating the beliefs at this level. It comes in indirectly, but this is the area that gets stimulated. Now, if you were paying attention to the words I was using at the beginning of the conversation, you heard me say a phrase called "what's important about." What's important about lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? When I asked the question, what's important about karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh, Bernice gave me a list of words. Self-defense, self-confidence, focus, success in life. Right? These words connect to this level of a person's belief system. This is a pretty universal belief system. You all have beliefs about your environment, beliefs about behaviors, beliefs about your capabilities, and the values. The reason we want to talk about this level is because this is the level of life rules. In other words, every human being on the planet moves through the world with a checklist for what constitutes the best ideal anything. So for example, if I were to ask you describe your perfect house, right? You might say it's 3 stories, 2,400 square feet, massive, massive kitchen, close to schools, and a big backyard, right? I might ask you, oh, okay, so you want a 2,400 square foot house, 3 floors, big kitchen, big backyard, close to schools. I'm curious, what's important to you, just so I understand you better? What's important to you about a big kitchen? And you might say something like, well, when I was growing up as a kid, we had this really big kitchen, and every holiday, all the family would come over. We had a really big family. We'd sit around, we'd all cook together, we'd all eat together, and we just had the best time just sharing and being together. And I really want that for my family, right? Now, when I talk about finding their houses, I'm going to tell them, you know what? Based on what you're telling me, I can think of at least 5 or 6 houses right off the bat that are 2,500 square feet or better, 3 floors, big backyard, close to good schools, and they have that kitchen. The kitchen that's so important to you. So that when those holidays roll around, all of your family can come in and you can practice, you can cook together, you can eat together, you can just have the best time being together and loving each other. I have some great ideas for some great houses with exactly the kind of kitchen that I think you would find most desirable. How soon do you want to go see it? When you do this, you need to watch their eyes. You need to watch their face, because you'll see their facial colorations change, their eyes will start to water, their pupils will dilate. Why? Because in that moment, I took some of those words from my echo technique and I drilled down to their emotional motivation checklist, their emotional bonding checklist. Okay? Everything human beings do has a checklist that is equal to the ideal perfect anything. I mentioned earlier a book that I wrote back in 2003. It was called Secret Orgasm Tips, right? The entire book was nothing except techniques for matching a woman's or a man's ideal lover checklist. You see, every woman on the planet, every man on the planet has a fantasy. The ideal lover, the ideal partner. Now think about this for a moment. Let's play a little game, right? Stop for a moment and think about something. What would it be like if you met someone? You can think romantically for now. If you met someone who, as if they read your own mind, your own deepest fantasies, knew exactly what to say to you, exactly the way you've always wanted to be spoken to. What if this person could touch you in exactly the right place, sexual or not, at exactly the time you wanted to be touched? What if they could kiss you in the way you always fantasized about being kissed? And everything else that you felt the ideal partner should be able to give you. If you experience someone like that, I'm curious about something. What would you not do for them? Type it in the chat. Come out of trance first. You'd do everything, right, Robin? Yeah. Nothing you wouldn't do for him, right? Not much, right? Now, here's the thing. Seriously, right? That's a short list, right? They will use you. Ooh, there's somebody cynical, right? All right. Here's my point. That made me tear up. Weird. Yes. Excellent at cure. It made you tear up because the moment you started processing what I said, your neurology, your critical faculty, along with your unconscious mind, went to your checklist in your own head and started imagining what that would be like. Now, here's the moment those feelings come up, Who are you looking at? Who are you looking at? Guess who gets all those feelings linked? And here's the best part. I only talked about the checklist. I used language that made you directly, I fell into trance and into my feels and felt good feelings towards David. Yes. And here's the thing. I only talked about the checklist. I didn't directly give you your very own words back. I used my language in such a way that you accessed your own checklist. Now, let me think about this. Here's the thing. When you actually use the exact words, the feeling's even more intense. You understand that? When you get somebody's exact words right, those feelings that you had get even more powerful. They get even more intense. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have an experience together in a non-sexual way. Is that okay? Yes or yes? Okay, very good. All right, so this is the drill part of today, and this is important. Now, when you signed up for today's webinar, right, you automatically played a movie in your head. Excuse me for just a moment. I think somebody's at my door. My apologies for that. My kids showed up at my office. Now I got to figure out what's going on. All right, so, yep, it's live. Of course it's live. What, did you think I was going to give you an auto webinar? No. So, here's the thing. What was I talking about when before I got belled? You guys remember? Okay. We're going to have an experience. We're going to practice together. This is I'm going to teach you how to do this at 2 levels. I'm going to teach you how to do this at 2 levels. For this exercise, I need you to get out a piece of paper and a pencil. Okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to think about when you decided to attend tonight's webinar. There was something you wanted to be able to do as a result of coming to the webinar. There was something that you wanted to take the techniques from this webinar and everything that we're offering in it and use it in your life to get something. I want you to stop for a moment. I want you to close your eyes. If you're driving, don't do this. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to stop for a moment and imagine that you did that. You followed the instructions, you did everything I told you to do in this webinar, and you put those techniques into operation, and you nailed it. Home run. I want you to make a mental, I call this your Steven Spielberg moment. Make a mental movie in your mind of what that would be like, what that thing would be like. And what I want you to do on a piece of paper, I want you to write out what it is that you got as a byproduct of this webinar. Right? What did you get as a byproduct of using the information you got from this webinar? When you've done that, type done in the chat and we'll go on to the next piece. Okay, cool. All right. Now, I'm gonna show my PowerPoint. Well, it's not my PowerPoint. It's actually my OneNote. I don't like PowerPoint very much, believe it or not. So this is called the emotional motivation or emotional bonding checklist. So in the first line, you should have typed what you wanted. So maybe you wanted to earn 6 figures, right? I'm just using that, right? Make more money, whatever. Now, underneath that outcome, the outcome we've just outlined here, right? Hold on a second. I want you to ask yourself, what's important about getting it? Write this question. What's important about that? What's important about, like, if you use these techniques, you got that 6-figure income, what's that going to do for you? What's important about it? And write that down. Write down the first thing that pops up. Use your exact words. Freedom is fine. As you write down that word freedom, using Jesse's example, below that, I want you to write what's important about that. Self-sufficient? That's fine. You don't have to type it in the chat. I want you to write these things out. What's important about freedom? What's important about being self-sufficient? What's important about peace of mind? And I want you to do this 3 times. Every time you get an answer, right below that, write what's important about, write out the answers. The first thing that pops up, I want you to write down. Okay? When you've got at least 3 levels of this, type done in the chat. Done. Okay, Aaron's done. Hetty's done. Good. Laura's done. 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 Perfect. All right. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stand up. I want you to stand up. I want you to take, hopefully you wrote this down. I want you to take the piece of paper that you wrote these answers on. I want you to hold it up at about a 45-degree angle to you, just like so. Well, I told it for the white screen screws up my blackboard. So again, hold it up at about a 45-degree angle, and all I want you to do, as proudly, as strongly as you can, all I want you to do is say the answers to the what's important about question 5 times out loud. First, take an inventory of your body, notice how you feel. Then all I want you to do is read the answers to those 3 questions out loud 5 times. When you've done that, type done in the chat. Perfect. Rob's done. Michael, Zach is done. Carlos is done. Okay, good. All right. Perfect. Now, Vanessa's done. Excellent. Now, let me ask you a question. What happened to the feelings in your body when you read those words out loud? What happened? You felt great? Vibrated through me? Felt light, right? Now, felt like I was already there. Excellent, Steve. Smiling more as if I'm moving toward, you are moving towards them. Uncontrollable smiles, very good. Very good. What if you could give this kind of feeling to everyone you meet? What if you could link everything you want for your client to take the next step? Felt committed to the action. Exactly. What would you not do to get those things? Right? What would you do to get them? If you understand this process, it doesn't, I do everything Akira's saying. Absolutely. Why? Because they're the most emotionally important things to you in this world. Now, here's the thing I need to caution you about. Well, if this were an NLP class, which it is not, NLP calls this criteria and values. Your values, they're beliefs. All of your values are beliefs. But your values define in your life what is best and what is not. Every human being carries a list, a checklist of values, like the ones you just played with, for anything that they can conceive of, even if they've never actually seriously considered buying it. Let's say you're a 20-year-old kid, and I want to sell you life insurance. Now, you may have never thought about life insurance at all in the 20 years you've walked this planet. But the moment I ask you, what's important about life insurance? You're going to give me a bunch of reasons. Even though you've never thought about life insurance before, you're going to access your value system. And you're going to make stuff up that's actually true for you. And those are your most emotionally motivating and compelling reasons for doing anything. And if you can, as a byproduct of this training and others, effectively link what people emotionally want to what you offer, they will do business with you by default. They will find their own reasons for going forward. Now, here's the secret hack to this. In fact, I'm going to save that piece. The secret hack to this we'll talk about in part 3 of the webinar. Okay? So how many have gotten some value from today so far? Yes or yes? Type it in the chat, right? How many people want to take it further? How many people would like to learn how to level up in life in every aspect? Okay, cool. Do I have your permission to present a package I put together for you for that specific purpose of leveling up your life? Perfect. Now, this part's going to take maybe 25, 30 minutes. When that is done, we're going to circle back and pick up where we left off, and we're going to go even deeper into these techniques. Interested in seeing this out? Very good. Okay, so with your permission, dun, 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 I'd like to share with you the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Mastery Home Study course. This is a special 4 or 5 course package I've put together, and I've shown you highlights of it, but there's a whole system at play here that's going to take you from Persuasion Zero to Persuasion Hero. You're going to be able to walk into any situation, circumstance, or event and be able to exert the maximum amount of influence in a fun, pleasant, honest, and ethical way. You'll never have to lie, cheat, steal, or manipulate people in a way that's bad for them when you use this system. So what does it involve? It's going to allow you to take your life to the next level. It's going to allow you to make more money, to close more deals, to get more dates, to help more people. Because at the end of the day, money and dates are fine. We all want to make a difference in the world. And if you have these skills, you have the ability to make a difference in people's lives anytime, any place, under any circumstance, for any reason. As a byproduct of that, you're going to feel more comfortable. You're going to feel more personally powerful. You're going to feel like the winner in the game of life. And you'll also become charming, charismatic, and a lot more irresistible as a byproduct of this training. So here's what we put together for you. Now, this is an offer that's only good for today, June 29th, 2022. It expires at 11:59 p.m. It's going to include the Killer Influence Secrets of Human Influence Home Study course. It's a 17-video course that covers the 7-stage Universal Persuasion Protocol. That was the little bullet diagram that I showed you. How to control your state, how to get rapport, how to use your language, the 7 most powerful hypnotic language patterns that exist, as a matter of fact, how to manage the states of other people, how to jump into their process and bond with their criteria and values. Right? We're going to teach you that. We're going to teach you how to think like a master influencer. There's a certain way that these people think, the way they strategize, the way they put their tactics and their techniques together. There's a whole chapter, a whole set of modules devoted to that. It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you how to control your own psycho-emotional state at will under any circumstance so no one can ever push your buttons again. It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you the power rapport skills for connecting with absolutely anyone, anytime, anywhere. I literally have personal injury attorneys who do this from across the courtroom on hostile judges and juries and witnesses with perfect results many times. It's invisible. It's impossible to be caught because there's nothing unethical about it. Once you understand these power rapport skills, you'll have a gift that allows you to bond with anyone, anytime, anywhere, under pretty much any circumstance. And if you can't, you'll figure out rapidly with the extensions of this how to customize what you're doing to that situation so you are instantly more effective in that rapport getting process. We're going to teach you the 7 most powerful irresistible hypnotic language patterns that exist. These are the 7 patterns that if you knew only 4 of them would allow you to instantly, effortlessly, and automatically force anything you want to cause anything you want in the mind of your listener. Think about that for a moment. What if you could walk up to somebody, point at something, and create a causal relationship between 2 things that have absolutely no relationship together, and it would come across as perfectly legitimate, perfectly logical, perfectly matter-of-fact? What if you had the power to make anybody, anything you want, mean anything you want in the minds of your subject? There's a language pattern that does specifically that. What if you had the power to direct a person's focus of attention so perfectly that even if they knew what you were doing, they still couldn't help but pay attention to the things you want them to pay attention to the exclusion of everyone else? What could you do with just those abilities? And then add this. What if you had the ability to make a person's internal movies, the mental movies that they make, the internal dialogue that they have? What if you had the ability to make that internal mental experience, that internal emotional experience, be exactly what you want it to be without the possibility of failing? And they would like it. That's what only the first 4 of the 7 most irresistible hypnotic language patterns are going to allow you to do. Imagine what you could do with all 7, plus the echo technique, plus the emotional motivation checklist. It's a $297 value just for that. We're going to teach you how to manage the emotional states of other people, how to literally figure out what their checklist is, bond your product, yourself, or your service to exactly what they want, keep them bonded to it, and have them salivating to take the next level in their relationship with you. What if it were possible to actually look at a person's own internal behavior code, the parts of their brain that they use to make a decision, and fit your content, your presentation, yourself, or your product to the way they organically make decisions in such a way that it felt perfectly natural for them to just do what you want them to do? You're going to learn how to do that. And again, we talked about the emotional bonding checklist. Right? It's also going to come with what we call the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. This is a special manual. It's over 200 pages, and it has chapters on things like proxemic influence, how to manipulate and manage the spatial relationships between you and other people, simple things that would psychologically position you in the minds of your listener. For example, something as simple as standing on a person's dominant side as opposed to their non-dominant side can actually cause them to like you more. Dropping yourself below a person's eye level will cause them to feel more comfortable and connected to you than standing above their eye level. Where you sit at a meeting room or a conference table can dramatically influence the amount of authority and suggestibility you wield during that meeting. That's just one appendix that we're going to talk about. Then you have social hypnotic operators. Social hypnotic operators are social programs that society has programmed into you. Things like reciprocity and commitment and consistency. Things that cause you to behave in very automatic, hypnotic ways just when you're presented with that stimulus. We're going to teach you all about that so you can learn to recognize them, so you can utilize them in an ethical and honest way. But even more importantly, we're going to teach you how to detect them so you are no longer influenced by them in a way that's not in your best interest. Marketers and government agencies have been using these particular principles on you for decades. Once you learn them, remember that anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. Once you understand how they work, you gain another level of immunity to this kind of influence. Okay? We're also going to teach you how to read people, how to look at somebody and rapidly make a profile of them that you can use to know what their hot buttons are, what they're going to gravitate to, what they're going to move away from, and how to create powerful levels of authority, compliance, and connection in them. And that's still not even all of what's in that manual. It's a $418 value. It comes with an online community where you get to actually roll up your sleeves and do hands-on practice with over 200 active members. It's priceless. So I'm going to talk about more about this community in just a minute. Total value, if you were to get it today on the website, will be $2,497. But we're not going to stop there. That's just the foundations. That's just the beginning of what we've put together for you specifically. Right? If you join in now, if you grab your course today, you're also going to get these super special bonuses. First and foremost, you're going to learn one of the most powerful hypnotic techniques ever known to man. This is all about the power of storytelling and metaphor from a scientific and neuroscience-based level. We call this weapons of mass instruction. There are 6 modules in this course that take you through the nuts and bolts of how and why storytelling is the most neurologically influential persuasion tool that we have. The fact that even if you tell people that you're going to influence them with a story, their unconscious response is to actually never perceive stories as an attempt to influence. It creates a very powerful kind of a trance known as transportability and identification. And once you understand these phenomena We're going to show you step by step how to create themes and a structure to your story that maximally impacts a person's nervous system, that causes them to fall deeply into the spell and the story that you've woven. If you've ever been completely captivated by a novel or an article, and you found yourself experiencing and reliving what was in the story, you've touched a tiny piece of what we're going to teach you how to do with weapons of mass instruction. Whether you're doing this to have people rushing to the back of your seminar to level up and become coaching clients, whether you're doing this to teach people powerful lessons that are going to change their life. If you've ever wondered how people like Lisa Sasevich and Robert Allen and John Assaraf and Mark Victor Hansen and Tony Robbins and T. Harv Eker can have people stampeding to the back of the room to sign up for the next stuff, this course is going to pull back the curtain and teach you step by step what they're doing, how it's done, all the languaging tools at play, so that you can actually protect yourself from it, and even most importantly, use it for yourself in an ethical and honest way to uplift everyone that you meet. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free if you're one of the people to register for this Secrets of Ultimate Persuasion package today. It's a total combined value is $4,487, but we're not going to stop with just that. Storytelling is cool and it's powerful, and you should be using them. If you're not, you're missing out. But we're also going to include one of the most powerful belief-changing personal development tools I've ever come across. Now, think about this for a moment. Think about every time you've presented to somebody or asked somebody to do something or wanted somebody to believe you and they said no, or they said they didn't believe you, or they had a limiting belief that wouldn't let them pull the trigger and move forward to work with you. What if for every single one of those situations where somebody said no, or I don't believe you, or they believe something that limits them in some way, what if you had 14 different solutions before you started combining them to that problem? What if you could overcome any objection in a sales situation, a persuasion situation, a therapeutic situation, a teaching situation in seconds? What if you could do that to yourself? Like the minute you catalog a limiting belief, the minute you notice a limiting belief, what if you had 14 different ways to instantly transform that limiting belief into something more useful, literally in seconds? What would your life be like when every limiting belief you had was gone? What would you not be able to, what would you accomplish? That's what Renegade Reframing is all about. It's how to overcome any objection or change any limiting belief in seconds. What if you could win every argument? Or 14 different bullets for winning any argument you were into. That's what this course will do for you. It comes with a full manual. There's actually even a card game in this course called the Reframe game. You can play it kind of like war, where a person states a limiting belief or an objection. They throw a belief card at a person, and the person has to use that card to overcome the belief. So you get really good and you play games that allow you to become super good at argumentation, changing beliefs, overcoming objections, reframing any situation or circumstance. It's super, super powerful. It has templates in it that give you head starts and little protocols that you can follow that allow you to really get good at this really, really quickly. It's a $1,997 value. It's going to be yours absolutely free if you register before the end of this webinar. Total combined value, if you were to buy these individually on the website, would be $6,484. But again, we're not stopping there. You've seen what you can do with just the ECHO technique and the emotional bonding checklist. And just so you know, this is what you use when you screwed up the emotional bonding checklist. You said something wrong. This allows you to rapidly get the obstacles out of your way, remove resistance to your influence, and get people back moving towards deeper levels of rapport and connection with you. That's why we're including this as part of your persuasion training. You can use it on yourself, you can use it on your loved ones, you can use it with clients. Okay? But we're not going to stop there. Join today. We're also going to give you one of our most powerful presentation skill packages ever. This is called Charisma and Conversion. And this class builds on the foundations of the Killer Influence system, the storytelling and persuasion system, weapons of mass instruction, as well as renegade reframing. This is the ability to create presentations that hypnotically, subliminally prime your audience to believe what you say, do what you want, and rush to the back of the room to take the next level with you. If you've ever wondered, once again, it teaches you basic stagecraft. It teaches you the two forms of persuasion presentation. There's a presentation template for small groups and another presentation template for large groups. We'll teach you about 12 ways to use stories in your training. How to do basic stagecraft, how to hold a microphone, where to move on stage, how to psychologically position your talk, your topic, your audience, your offer, so that people naturally want to take the next level with you and feel good about it. How to transition into your offer and create offers for your clients to take advantage of, to level up and go to the next level. If you've ever wondered how you get people from interesting information to lasting transformation through your products or services, this is the course that bridges that gap. Because the fastest, most powerful way to build a business with little to no money down is through the power of public speaking. Whether that public is through a Zoom interaction, whether it's one-on-one in person, or some combination thereof. Most of you came to this webinar from watching our YouTube channel. 90% of all the content on our YouTube channel came from free events where I was teaching skills for free. You can do this too. Okay? We're going to give this to you absolutely free. It's a $1,997 value, but it could be worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars when you apply them correctly. Total combined value of the package we've given so far is $8,481 when you register before the end of the webinar. So let's just review really, really quick what we've got here. In the whole Unlimited Persuasion, Secrets of Human Influence, Universal Persuasion Protocol package, you've got 17 videos teaching you the 7 stages of Universal Persuasion Protocol, the Killer Influence Mind Control Mastery Manual, it's $2,497 value, Weapons of Mass Instruction, Scientific Storytelling Secrets, $1,997 value. You've got Renegade Reframing, how to instantly overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds, $1,997 value. And finally, as part of the cherry on your Persuasion and Influence Sunday, Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers. It's a $1,997 value. You can get it all. Total value is $8,481 if you were to buy it today on the David Snyder NLP website or NLPpower.com. But as you can probably guess, we want you to get started. We want to remove the barriers to entry on this program. We want you to take these skills, go out into the world, and actually use them. So we're going to give you the best deal humanly possible today. If you grab this package today, you will not have to pay $8,481. You're not even going to have to pay $6,481. We're going to keep dropping the price. You're not going to pay $53.47. You're not going to pay $33.47. I know this is getting a little crazy. My people are starting to sweat a little bit over here. You're not even going to have to pay $2,347. For those of you who want to get on the fast track to unstoppable persuasion, to getting everything you want in life by helping other people get what they want, you can get it all today only for one low investment of just $997. You can get everything, okay? And if you need a little help, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397 each. And all you got to do to get started now is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. It's www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Once again, with feeling, www.killerinfluence.com/go. I'm putting this in the chat for my Zoomers. Hopefully a guy didn't screw up the URL. Perfect. Oh, somebody's well ahead of me on that one. All right. All right. But you know what? We're not going to stop there. Let's talk about this for a minute. Okay? I know a lot of you have things that you want, and I want you to really attach getting what you want to this opportunity. As you do that, I want you to understand that you have nothing to risk. There's absolutely no risk to you at all in this program. And here's how. I want you to get this program. I want you to use it for 60 days. If by day 59 you're not on the fast track to making more money, closing more deals, getting more promotions, moving forward in your business, bringing in more clients, if you're not on the fast track to financial freedom, more love and romance, if you're not feeling more secure and confident, more powerful in your ability to win any social encounter, be more irresistible, I'll refund every dime you invested in this course today. Remember, this doesn't cost you anything. It's an investment. Investments always return if you do the work. I'm really good at what I do, guys. Everything in these courses is proven. We're going to give you a 60-day guarantee to put this stuff to work. If at the end of 60 days you're not satisfied, if you haven't proven sufficiently to yourself that this is moving you towards the life you want, the way you want it, pick up the phone, give Stephanie a call, shoot her an email, and we will, not cheerfully, because we want to make sure that you give us every opportunity to make sure we get you through your sticking points. We will refund your money. There's absolutely nothing to risk and everything to gain. Right? In fact, I challenge you to not be more successful within the first 21 days of having this course. But take the full 60. Test it out. Put it to work. If it's not getting you the wins you're looking for, call us. We'll work you through the sticking points. If after working through those sticking points, you're still not getting the result, we'll give you the refund. Not a problem. Like I said, I want your life to change as a natural byproduct of this course. Okay? I want you to really jump in with both feet. And if it works, keep going. If it doesn't, give us a call and let us know. Just go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay? Now, one of the things I like to do for people is I like people who take action. Action is one of the key ingredients to success. The best, as one of my mentors, Lisa Sasevich, used to say, the greatest GPS in the world cannot help you if you stay in one spot. You got to take action. If you want your life to be different, you got to do something different. And I want to reward you for that. I want you guys to get the biggest persuasion bang for your buck. So here's what I put together for you. If you grab your course today, it should be 29th, 2022, I will include these special fast action bonuses for you. Okay? First and foremost, we're going to give you a 3-month, it's 90-day trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group. Now, let me explain this. Let me jump out of this a little bit so I can explain to you what this is. The NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group has been in operation for 11 years. On the third Saturday of every month, people come in from all over California. They zoom in from all over the world. I literally go around the room and I say, what do you want to learn, Esty? What do you want to learn, Jax? What do you want to learn, Abel? What do you want to learn, John? What do you want to learn, Barney? What do you want to learn, Stephanie? What do you want to learn? I write them all on the board. And then I step back and I look at what all these things have in common, what all the connecting threads are. And I create a lesson plan for you right on the spot. And we spend the next 5 to 6 hours, usually about 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., drilling on those skills so you can do them in your sleep. Now, this is not something that you're going to get a certificate from. It wasn't designed for that. It was designed for the one thing that keeps people from becoming successful, and that's actually taking action, of doing the drills and getting the skills. So you're going to come in, you're going to roll up your sleeves. I don't care if you have 20 minutes of persuasion or training or experience or 20 years. You're going to tell me what you want. I'm going to create a lesson plan for the group. We're going to work those skills. At the end of that 6 hours, 6 hours, you go off into the world to apply your new skills. You come back the next month, and I'm going to ask you, what do you want to learn today? What do you want to learn? What do you want to learn? What do you want to learn? I'm going to write them on the board. I'm going to find the connecting threads, and we're going to do it again. We're going to drill. Drills and skills. So not only will you get to drill down on the things that are specific to making your life better, You're going to do it side by side with people from all over the world who are really cool, by the way. Probably the best community I've ever been part of, who also have a sincere desire to get better at this. You're going to make some amazing friends. You're going to meet people who have things in common, things that you can learn from, things that you can teach, people that you can teach things to. And you're all going to come out with a better set of skills that are going to serve you everywhere you go. We're going to give you 90 days, 3 months, to test it. If you like it, let us know. We'll work out arrangements to help you stay there. If you don't like it, you got 90 days of doing cool stuff with cool people who like to do cool stuff. And remember, I said this has been running for 11 years. We have videotaped the entire 11 years of those meetings. We've archived them in 3 places. The NLP Power website, our Diamond Level YouTube channel, our Gold Level YouTube channels, and our private members only Facebook page. During your 3-month trial membership, you can binge watch that entire 11-year archive, stuff that has never seen the light of day on YouTube, and it covers every topic that has anything to do with mind and body. Energy healing, manifestation, learning, dating, attraction, regression, trauma resolution, relieving physical and emotional pain, advanced spiritual and metaphysical meditation practices. If it has something to do with mind and body, it's in those archives. And you can binge watch it 11 years worth, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of never before seen content just for you. Go back to my screen. Total value, $1,597 value. We're going to give this to you free if you're one of the next 17 people to register for this package today. Total combined value, if you could buy it on the website, which you can't, by the way, would be $10,078. But we have some other things that we want you to have as well, things that are going to even move you faster through the training continuum. We're going to include, as your fast action bonus number 2, the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. Now, Stealth, believe it or not, actually is an acronym for Strategic Suggestion through Emotionally Amplified Linguistically Transmitted Hypnosis. Say that 12 times fast, right? And what it is, it's a course for people who want to be out and hypnotizing people that day. There's literally 2 hours of video that you watch that teaches you all the core language patterns, how to do instant and rapid inductions. There's 7 videos on advanced language pattern work, hypnotic inductions, emotional hot buttons, and so much more. It's just chock full of some of the most powerful instant and rapid hypnosis techniques on the planet. You can literally download this tonight, start hypnotizing people tomorrow. It's a $997 value. We're going to throw this in absolutely free. It comes with books, it comes with workbooks, transcripts, and PowerPoints, as well as audios. So you'll see everything from our infamous 3 magic questions protocol to lie detection skills, and certain laws of attraction videos like Money Magnet Mastery are included in there as well. It's a really inclusive package. Total value $997. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Total combined value is $11,075. And finally, for the first 21 people to register today, if you grab your package before I log off the webinar, again, these fast action bonuses go away when I log off. The rest of the package is available until 11:59 tonight. But if you are one of the next 21 people to jump into this package today, we're going to give you a special VIP ticket. This is a free pass to our next upcoming Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts Secrets of Covert Hypnotic Persuasion course. It's a 4-day certification boot camp from August 30th to September 3rd. During this amazing course, you are going to learn some of the most powerful influence tools on the planet. You'll get to learn firsthand exactly how to control your emotional state at will so nobody else can do it for you. No one will ever be able to push your buttons ever again. You're going to learn how to get rapport with anyone, anytime, anywhere, and even make their body do weird stuff. We'll teach you how to pass emotions back and forth so that people's brains are and neurologies are automatically primed to do what you want them to do. We're going to teach you the most powerful, irresistible hypnotic language patterns on the planet, and we're going to show you how to counter them. We're going to show you how to actually defeat these patterns after you become aware of them. We're going to teach you the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence, and most importantly, we're going to teach you how to cold read and personality profile any human being. We're going to go deep dive into the language patterns and language techniques of some of the most disgusting qualities of people on the planet. What I mean by that is, this course, so we said defense against the dark arts. It's all about how to use the powers of influence and personality profiling to protect yourself from malevolent influence, from the social and persuasion predators of the world. Everything from human traffickers to child molesters and all points in between. We'll teach you what their tactics are, how they select their victims. We'll teach you how to profile them so that you can do a deep dive into the backgrounds and the personalities of anyone that you encounter, and how to use the tools of influence to defeat them or remove them from your life, or if you manage to remove them from your life already, how to instantly and rapidly keep them from reinserting themselves back into your life. We'll talk about meta programs. We'll talk about how they use reframing. It's a $2,250 value. Total combined value is going to be $13,325. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. It's a free VIP ticket. Now, the best thing about our VIP tickets is that once you have this ticket, let's say something comes up at the last minute, you can't come out and train with us in Las Vegas, Nevada on August 30th through September 3rd. All you do is pick up the phone, let Stephanie know, we'll move you to the next Killer Influence training. Let's say you didn't think you can go and all of a sudden your schedule frees up at the last minute. All you got to do is pick up the phone or send Stephanie an email. We'll move you to the head of the line. We'll find a seat for you, even if it's sold out. If it takes you 2 years to get to a Killer Influence training, as long as you have this VIP ticket, you can show up. Even after we raise the prices, you get in for free because you took advantage of today's offer. But this is only for the first 21 people to register today, and this offer goes away when I click the Leave Meeting button on the website. So if you call tonight at 10 p.m., right, and you leave your message on Stephanie's voicemail, you'll still qualify for the primary package, but you will not qualify for this VIP ticket. It's a $2,250 value. Right? If you want to learn how to make people like, love, and trust you, but also protect yourself from being unduly influenced and turn the tables on the social predators. If you've ever been lied to, we'll teach you about lie detection. If you've ever been the victim of a narcissistic love bombing / gaslighting technique, if you've ever been sucked back into a relationship after you've gotten out of it, we're going to teach you step by step how to isolate these people, identify them, and protect yourself against them and turn the tables on them. This is why we call it defense against the dark arts. You'll learn about face reading, you'll learn about cold reading, you'll learn about micro expressions, you'll learn about the tools and tactics that these people use and how you can turn the tables on them once and for all. $2,250 value. The price does not go, again, this is only available for the next 21 people, but if you really want to get get this stuff inside of you, if you really want to immerse yourself in the trainings, this is your opportunity to actually get the live experience. Okay? So once again, let's review. Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course, $2,479 value. Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. Renegade, it should say Renegade Reframing. $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills, $1,997. We're going to give it to you free. NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597. We're going to give it to you for free. The Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. And finally, the Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts VIP Super Ticket, 4-day certification boot camp, is $2,250 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. That class meets August 30th to September 3rd. And I actually think this is a 5-day training. So there's actually a typo here. It's actually a 5-day training, so it's actually worth more than $2,250. Total package value is $13,325. Yours today for just $997. Or if you need to, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397 each. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. One more time with feeling. www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Now, a couple of things. Usually when we start to present this, the phone goes off the hook with people trying to get a hold of Stephanie, emailing. If you call Stephanie, 858-282-4663 is the magic number. Stephanie at nlppower.com is the email. Hopefully Holly and Stephanie and Brandon can post those in the chats for people. Here's the thing. If you call, please, 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 leave your contact information. If it takes us till tomorrow to get back to you, you will still qualify for the original package. If you do not leave your email and your other contact information, your phone number and all that other stuff, you will not qualify for the fast action bonuses. Okay? I can't stress that enough. If you call and the line is busy or it goes to voicemail, keep calling. Okay? Please, please, please. I've had this happen. People call 2-3 days later saying, "Oh, I wanted the package. I called, but and we asked, did you leave your contact information? Well, no. I just thought you'd call back. No, it doesn't work that way, guys. If you want this stuff, and I know you do, you got to click that link, get in now, get that fast action bonus, those VIP tickets. If you have questions that we can answer, if you've bought a package from us in the past, and you have some of these courses, pick up the phone, call Stephanie, let us know. If you have one of these courses already, we'll let you swap out a course of equal or lesser value so you can customize your package a little bit. Okay? This VIP ticket does not expire. If it takes you 2 years to get to a live event, no, it'll still be waiting for you when you're ready. Okay? All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. One more time, www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. While you guys are getting that done, I'm going to give you guys a 7-minute break to use the restroom. Type any questions you might have to Stephanie or through emails or chats. When we come back, we're going to pick up with the emotional bonding checklist where we left off, and we're going to customize the content of our webinar so you come away with even more super powerful persuasion techniques that you can apply tomorrow or even tonight if you go out. Okay, so it is 5:48 by my clock here. Let's reconvene at 5:58 because the clock is going to change, and we'll continue teaching and learning and practicing. Sound like a plan? Okay, click that link, click that link, click that link, and go ahead and reserve your packages, and we'll come back and we'll get back into more stuff. I can't wait. Take care. Hey everybody, I'm back from the proverbial potty break. So while we're waiting we got a few minutes in our break yet. So while we're waiting, let's go. If anybody has any questions that I can answer for you, or things you want me to elaborate on before we get back to the content of tonight's webinar, feel free to go ahead and ask, and I'll go ahead and answer as many questions as I can. Robin's asking about the book I wrote in 2003. It was called Secret Orgasm Tips. And it was a multimedia home study course. It should be available through the NLP Power website. It was a very young work, but it worked really, really well. Sharky's asking, David, would love any insight you have on the Bankston spinning technique. Would love a workshop or mini workshop. Any thoughts? We just finished a 7-day long training in Costa Rica where we went deep dive into all of that technology. So maybe if it's so if we ever get that edited, we may make some of that available. Linda Catan. Oh, I remember Linda. And most of your products may already have storytelling and charisma. I do not see them on your website. Are they contained in the bundle? Storytelling is weapons of mass instruction. So if you have the storytelling course, that is weapons of mass instruction. So it is included in the bundle. But again, if you do have a lot of these, if you can find products on the website that are the same value or less, we can swap that out for you. Curtis is asking David, how NLP and therapeutic medical hypnosis is similar and how are they different? What are each good for? What can each accomplish? Well, first and foremost, people often make an arbitrary distinction between NLP and hypnosis. NLP is hypnosis. It's just a type of hypnosis that focuses on the structure of subconscious processes rather than the content. So an NLP trainer or NLP practitioner would focus on the colors and the sounds and the smells and the tastes themselves of an internal experience, whereas a hypnotist would focus on the movie of it. They're both basically hypnotic. They just target a different aspect of human experience, subjective experience. Let's see here. Ben says the seminal loan is worth. Yes, thank you for that, Ben. Did I pronounce it right? Badaji? Is that how you pronounce it? David, you mentioned another book earlier, not one of mine. The only book that I really mentioned, Badaji. Okay, cool. The only other book that I think I mentioned was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, which is really worth having. If you don't have it in your persuasion library, you really should. Hold on a second. I recently had someone replace their issues with something I did after night to realize. Wait a minute. I had recently someone replace their issues with something I did after a night to realize the happening used to the magic frame. Okay, I'm not sure I understand that question. Jeff, are you still coming to Las Vegas? I'll be in Vegas July 23rd through August 6th. That shirt blew me away. Antron Petty. I don't know that. I feel energized, inspired, and ambitious when I'm in the webinars, but once I'm by myself, I'm having a difficult time studying the material. I'm still working on state control. Any advice? Yes. Get your butt into the mastermind. Get yourself into the community where you can actually interact. A lot of people are going through this same problem. Is that, and I think a lot of it has to do with a lack of social interaction and human beings to commune and associate with. I think a lot of us, because of, I think we have this tendency naturally, but I think that because of the last 24 months, a lot of us have been really demoralized when we're alone. And I think we need to break that mold. We need to find ways to get out and about, to renew our social connections with other people. And I think the mastermind community is absolutely the fast track to getting that handled. Daji says, I'm autistic and I'm pretty much an amalgamation of toxic behaviors picked up from my relationships. How can I become more self-aware of things that are red flags? Oh, easy. Learn the techniques. I've had several people who are on the spectrum come into our killer influence trainings and learn and our identity by design trainings and learn so much about how to read people, especially from the face reading and cold reading stuff, that it actually fills that gap between what they feel versus what they see. For you, Badaji, I would really, really recommend you look at face reading as well as the Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts material as a way to really, really, really become more adept at evaluating social cues, which is the thing I see that most people on the spectrum tend to miss. And a guy I'm talking about in particular, his name was Charles, and he became so good at reading faces in spite of the fact that he'd never been able to really perceive a lot of the social interactions that were going on around him before. It was really powerful for him. So I really think that would be the biggest bang for your buck. Will the Vegas training be at the Orleans? Yes, it will. Oh, you're talking about the Like Switch by Jack Schaefer. Like Switch, L-I-K-E-W-I-S-E, or W-S-I-T-H, Like Switch. You can just do an internet search on David Snyder, Dr. David Snyder NLP. You can go to my website, davidsnydernlp.com. You can go to NLP Power. You can binge watch our YouTube channel to your heart's content. Again, tons and tons and tons of free information. You can go and check me out all you want. Test the stuff before you do anything. Yeah. All right. Oh, we're 2 minutes over. My bad. All right, let's get back to work. All right, so once again, Secrets of Human Influence, Inflation Home Study Course, $24.97 value, Weapons of Mass Instruction, Renegade Reframing, the Art of Conversational Belief Change, very, very powerful. Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for presenters and public speakers, the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, and the 11-year archive, 90-day trial, and of course the Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts VIP ticket, all yours for one low investment of $9.97. By all means, take this material, test it out. Okay? You'll be amazed. You don't have to believe anything I've told you. Just go do it. And you'll be amazed how rapidly people just are doing what you say, liking you more and more. Does this work? Elizabeth is asking, does this work only with the spoken word? It works any place that language is involved. Text, chat, email, blog posts, articles, video, phone, any place where human language is involved, these techniques work. Okay? It's a great question because people often ask how is this different from writing? It isn't. Yeah, it's again, I don't usually tell this story, but the core of this material, the Universal Persuasion Protocol, that's the core of Killer Influence, the CPI model, literally paid my way through my undergraduate education. I got an honors in business management from Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma City, almost exclusively on writing scholarships. Turns out English professors are suckers for hypnotic language, and it makes anything you write amazingly compelling and interesting. And so they just gave me all kinds of awards and scholarships and positions in the faculty and on staff as a byproduct of this system. I've had city managers come in and take half a day of training and go back and get a big windfall to their budget just by applying one or two of these techniques. Okay, this stuff is super powerful in writing. It's super powerful spoken. It's video courses, YouTube videos. It's that game changing. It will change your life. But here's the thing: if you're just a tourist, in other words, if your intention is to buy this stuff and just look at it, don't. Okay? This stuff only works for you if you actually get off your ass and you actually use it and you have fun with it. I can shorten the learning curve, but I can't remove it. If you get up, do the drills, get the skills, you come to the events, you binge watch the videos, you come to the masterminds, this stuff will become an intrinsic part of you. It'll be almost impossible not to use it. But some people will try, right? Avoid being a collector. Be an action taker. Put these things into operation and start with only the things you like. And as they work for you, get excited about taking the next step. All right? Again, you have 60 days to try this out and put these things to work. Let us help you get through the sticking points. But at the end of the day, if you're buying this with the intention of not actually using it, save your money. But if you want your life to be different, if you deserve a better life, and if you want to be different, click the link, get your course, and let me help you help yourself. Let me help you get these skills into you. Let me surround you with people who are going to support you and give you the opportunity to practice. Because that's the second payment that makes the difference. The first one is the money. That's the easy payment, guys. Money is a renewable resource. You can always make more. That gives you access to the information. But it's the second payment. That payment is time, energy, effort to do the drills to get the skills. That's what takes you from access to ownership. And once you own this stuff, nobody can take it away from you ever again. It will serve you anytime you decide to use it. And you don't even got to believe it. You just got to do it. Okay? And you will believe it because you'll prove it to yourself. Okay? If you want it, click the link, man. Let's get this show on the road. But now, let's get back to training. Let's get back to learning. So when I left, I talked about the criteria question is what's important about. Right? You guys remember this? Yes or yes? Okay, good. Now, we have 3 basic choices. I want you to take a moment, type into the chat, what topic do you want to know most about today? Aaron Birch says, my ex-husband doesn't bother to try to pick a fight because of this stuff. He doesn't get anywhere. Love and relationships, making friends who know this stuff, okay. Influence, okay. Well, influence is kind of the major topic. Settling a divorce, okay. How to influence women, okay. Face reading, public equals private, okay. What else we got? That's it? All right, so let's put it this way. So we can go deeper into the emotional bonding checklist. We can play with that a little bit more if you want. Or we can talk about removing resistance to persuasion and influence. Marianne's asking about getting a millionaire mindset. Okay. We can play with how to bond people. In other words, what we call 3 magic questions protocol, which is designed to take you from complete stranger to intimacy, trust, and connection bordering on love and romantic love in as little as 20 minutes. We can talk about some of the most powerful language patterns that exist. What would you like to focus in on for the rest of today? 3 magic questions. Okay, Mike's got 3 magic questions protocol. Okay. Magic questions. I'm seeing a lot of magic questions. 3 magic questions. Okay. Congratulations. You are the first group I've had that did not want to go into resistance removal. Okay. So the best part is, when we talk about 3 magic questions protocol, now they're talking about resistance removal. Okay. We talk about 3 magic questions protocol. 3 magic questions protocol is actually a code. It's a code for 3 levels of question. Each question, or each level of question, has a very specific function and purpose that leads into, Elizabeth is saying, changing someone's perspective. That would be renegade reframing. It looks like the vast majority, we can talk a little bit about some of those things if you guys want to. I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, my job is to give you guys actionable stuff. Now remember, if this is the scope of everything that's in the package we're offering, we've got time for this. Okay, so I want to share with you as much as I can in the time that we have. Let me go ahead and readjust my camera a little bit. Okay, good. All right, so 3 Magic Questions protocol is about 3 levels of questions. So let me go to my screen. All right, I got to pull this up really quick. Hold on. Oops, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Okay. So 3 Magic Questions. Literally how to make people like, trust, and even love you in as little as 20 minutes. The 3 Magic Questions is a conversational framework. It's a template that you apply to interactions. Okay? This particular template allows 2 people who are strangers to rapidly generate pleasurable, stimulating conversations that trigger deeper levels of emotional attraction, trust, and bonding. Now, an intrinsic part of the 3 Magic Questions protocol is the echo technique. Okay? The original inspiration for this process was a book called Love Trances by a guy named Craig Rovinsky, R-O-V-I-N-S-K-Y. Craig Rovinsky did a brilliant job of summarizing what would become a template for this. I modified it a little bit because the original program was designed for women to use on men. Let me bring that back. The original version of 3 Magic Questions was designed for women to use on men to do 2 things at the same time. The first one is to generate attraction conversationally and organically. The second was to create a way for a woman to evaluate the suitability of the man as a romantic partner by triggering intense levels of trust, chemistry, and connection, leading to self-disclosure. In other words, remember I talked about the echo technique? I said when you start using the echo technique on somebody, what's the first thing that happens? Do you guys remember? Type it in the chat. What's one of the first things that I told you to watch out for? They start talking. Exactly. The moment they start talking, they start giving you more and more and more and more information about who they are and the life they lead. Their sense of possibility, their sense of deservingness or entitlement. 2 similar words that have very different directions in life. The whole process was designed to be deployed in as little as 20 minutes so that from the beginning of a date or a conversation to that 20-minute mark, a woman could, again, at the time, a woman could find out everything she would ever need to know about the person in front of them so that they could make an educated decision as to whether they're to get the hell out of there, keep them in the friend zone, or move them up to a potential relationship status. The byproduct of it was the man, the receiver at the time, would develop tremendous emotional and physical connections to the woman. Now, when I got a hold of it, I started looking at different things. And I just wanted to, so I started to modify it ever so slightly so that both genders could use it with any gender they wanted. And even I don't see the forest for the trees sometimes. I started teaching this as a way, because when I teach attraction workshops, and I still do teach attraction workshops once every couple of years or so, but I always teach co-eds. Men and women in the same room learning the same material so they can practice together and get real-world feedback from the person that the target of that influence. It's very, very powerful. The courses are called Rapid Attraction Secrets and Attraction Mastery. I think there's one coming up in February of 2023 if anybody's interested in doing it live. But it is a co-ed class, men and women training together for the sole purpose of learning how the other half works and being able to find a better mate and things of that nature. And that's what 3 Magic Questions is going to do for you. But dumb me never realized that there were other applications for this. And so one day, one week I'm teaching Killer Influence, and for some mysterious reason, that particular training, I had like 4 personal injury attorneys show up at the same training at the same time. And for some reason, they half of them didn't know each other, and they all sat together. I called them my legal department, right? And one guy took 80 pages of notes from the 4-day training. He sent them to me. They're really comprehensive. A few weeks later, I start getting all of these field reports from these lawyers using 3 Magic Questions during deposition. They're using it during jury selection. They're using it on cross. They're using it on potential clients. And these people are just pulling down 7-figure verdict after 7-figure verdict, 6 figures here, 7 figures there. And these juries are falling in love with these guys and gals. And I'm like, what? You can do that? And then it hit me. The romantic archetype is the archetype for all social interaction. So if something will work in a romantic context, it will easily translate into a business context, a professional context, a client attorney or jury attorney process. So I started realizing, wait a minute, this thing can be used everywhere. So I started using it in my client intakes. When I would see patients, I would come in and I would start just running through these 3 Magic Questions, and people would just open up. They would give me so much information. And that's the beauty of this. When you start using this process, people are going to fire hose you with information you don't even want to know, but you're going to be able to use. All right? So I'm going to give you a few, before we get into the actual structure, and I'm going to teach it to you. Before we get into the actual structure, I got to give you a few warnings. One of the things that you have to remember is that you are going to have body feelings come up as you engage in this 3 Magic Question process. You must be in control of your state through the entire process. As I tell my students, ABT, always be testing. When you deploy this particular sequence of framework, conversational framework, the idea is you are using it to generate attraction, trust, and connection, and elicitation of information. You want these people to literally open up their hearts and show you everything that's inside. And what's interesting is they will. But you have to be evaluating the information that you get through every step of the process. And if this person is not meeting your standards, if they're not meeting your criteria, you must have the strength to pull the plug on the interaction, to eject or redefine the relationship so that you don't get sucked into a relationship that you don't want. Because we're all, from this point on, we're no longer dating people with potential, right? You know what I'm talking about because you've all dated the same person with a different face multiple times. Male or female, it doesn't matter. The idea behind 3 Magic Questions is to give you a tool to simultaneously generate attraction and information for the purpose of either accepting or eliminating them as a potential partner, so you can slot them into the place in your life where they belong. Either the hell no category, the acquaintance category, the outer circle of friends category, the intimate friends category, the friends with benefits category, the dating category, or the life partner category. The whole idea behind this is to give you an ability to evaluate and generate. Does that make sense? Yes or no? This is the interactive portion of the webinar. Okay, so let's look at this once again. 3 Magic Questions is a code. So some ways that you do this. So 3 levels of question, and this is some things you want to, these are guidelines that I want you to have. Okay? Throughout this protocol, whether you're doing level 1, level 2, or level 3 questions, you always ask open-ended questions. These are questions that cannot be answered with a yes or no. That must be answered with an explanation or an opinion or a story. You want to get them talking. You want to get them sharing experiences with you. If the question you asked can be answered with a yes or no, it's not the appropriate kind of question. So you never want to ask a yes or no question. You want to share opinions and stories. When you share opinions and stories, you want to make sure you use their words. Okay? Use the echo technique throughout the entire process. Okay? So let's talk about level 1 questions. Level 1 questions are always what we call location occasion questions. These are very superficial, very non-threatening questions about the location you're at or the reason you're there. Right? So for example, if I'm at a bar, I may walk up to somebody and say, so what do you think of the band? Hold on a second. I'm trying to redo my typeface or my typesetting. I might ask, so what do you think of the band? They're going to give me an opinion, right? I might walk up to them and then say, oh, so are you here with friends or by yourself? Cool. You're by yourself? You're great. Are you waiting for friends? Great. What time do you think your friends will be here? Are they cool people? Right? So again, we want to start by priming the pump with very general, very safe, very superficial questions. One of my students came to one of my free events. He went out that night to a local bar, walked up to a very attractive woman that caught his eye, and all he asked was, hey, I'm curious, what are the drink specials tonight? 6 months later, they're getting engaged and married. Right? Went right through the 3 magic questions protocol. Does not matter, man to man, woman to woman, male to woman, it doesn't matter. Right? The idea is you always start off with a superficial, non-threatening question. Now, the strategy behind this is that you have to diffuse. You have to do 2 things. You have to diffuse the defense mechanisms, but also you must cause a state change in the mind of the person. So let me go. So when people, I'm gonna diagram this for you. In fact, I might not have to diagram it because I think I might have it actually. Here we go. Okay, so when people move through the world, they're in one of 4 potential states. They're either inside their head. Oops. My apologies. For some reason, my PowerPoints are jumping all over the place today, and I don't know why. Okay. When people are moving through the world, they can be either inside their head. Use my little box to explain this. They're either inside their head, making pictures, or they're outside, we call that external, paying attention. So you can have internal associated or external dissociated. You can have internal dissociated or external associated. So most people are moving through the world in a state of internal association. They're in their head thinking about everything that they got to do. They got to, they got to pick up the laundry. They got to pick up, they got to take the car to the shop. They got to prep for that presentation tomorrow at work. They're in their head, not paying attention to anything other than a checklist. The sole purpose behind level 1 questions is to get people from an internal dissociated state into an external associated state. You want them outward, you want them out in the world paying attention to you, not thinking about anything else. Right? So when someone's in their head thinking about stuff, they're internal dissociated. They're not present. The sole purpose of level 1 questions is just to get people out of their head and into the world interacting with you. Does that make sense? So the questions are very simple, non-threatening. In the pickup and the seduction world, they might call them opinion openers, but they're things that require an explanation or a story or an opinion. Are you with me so far? So if I'm at a wedding reception, I might say, "What do you think of the band?" Or "What do you think of those centerpieces are cool. What do you think?" Right? Anything that gets them going. You know, if you're going to go even further off the seduction end, they might say, "Hey, quick question for you. My roommate has this girlfriend who wants to buy a couple of pugs, and she wants to name them after an '80s pop music band, and she's torn between Milli Vanilli or Wham, or I forget what. I don't even know '80s pop bands anymore. Which one do you think is cooler?" Right? Doesn't really matter what they answer. The fact that you've now broken the ice and engaged in a playful, non-threatening, superficial interaction lays the groundwork for level 2 question. Level 2 question is where the meat really starts to happen. But now here's what's happened. When you ask these level 1 questions and they give you an answer, here's what you do. You listen to what they say. You agree with it. You validate what they say. You repeat their words back to them. You ask another question. We call that the master echo sequence. So I'm going to repeat it several times so you can write it down. Okay? You ask your question. You pay attention to the response. You validate the response. You echo their words. You ask another question. One more time. You ask a question. You pay attention to the response. You validate their response. You echo their response. You ask another question. One more time. You ask your question. You pay attention. You validate their response. You echo their words. You ask another question. All you do through 90% of the rest of the process is that. You ask a question. You pay attention. You validate what they say. You echo their words. You ask another question. Are you with me so far? Okay. Now, at some point during the conversation, level 2 questions are always about one of several things: career, pleasure, passion, fun. Once again, level 2 questions are always about either careers, pleasures, passions, and fun. When I first learned through Magic Questions, they basically talked about careers. Why is that? Because a person in our society, regardless of most, there's exceptions to every rule, but in Western culture and to a more or less a degree in Eastern cultures, you are what you do. So if you ask somebody, "What do you do for a living?" they're usually going to say, "I'm a teacher," or "I am an accountant," or "I am a stockbroker," or "I am an NLP trainer," or "I am a chiropractor." Most people will not say, "I do chiropractic." They won't say, "I do law." They won't say, "I do accounting." They'll almost always preface what they do with the statement, "I am." When you hear the words "I am," you guys remember that pyramid I showed you earlier? Do you need me to show it to you again? Yes or yes? Okay. Let me find it really quick. Hold on, where'd it go? Okay, so you guys remember this triangle, right? This little pyramid thing I showed you? Anytime you hear the words "I am," you are hearing a belief about themselves that is right here. You are literally accessing the apex of their belief systems. You are talking about the things most precious to them. You guys remember that feeling of validation you got when we started playing, we started echoing and repeating, when you started repeating your own words back to yourself? Do you remember that? When I had you do the exercise, you held the words up and you read them out loud. You guys remember that? And the feeling you had? The moment a person starts talking about their job, whether their job is shitty or not, this is the weird part. they start going into a profound pleasure state because they're talking about their favorite subject, themselves. Okay? And so literally, they'll talk for 20 or 30 minutes and tell you the most ridiculous things and be happy about it. What do you do through the entire process? You ask a question. You pay attention. You validate their response. You echo their words. You ask again. You ask another question. Now, some of the questions you might ask might be something like, so I'm curious, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an accountant. Wow, you're an accountant? Really? Wow. I know there's a lot of accountants out there, but I don't know a lot of them personally. I'm curious, what is it about accounting that thrills you? What made you decide to get into accounting in the first place? I'll bet there's a story there. Well, yeah, my mom and my dad were both accountants. They were always good with numbers. They loved numbers. And I kind of inherited that from them at an early age. And it was like, Mom and Dad and I used to just get around and we do all these math puzzles and all these math equations. I just always had a knack for math. I just love it. I'm passionate about it. And so for me, the opportunity to work with numbers and finding balance, was really something that just resonated with me. And I just, I followed my dad's lead and my mom's lead, and I went to school and I just decided to open my own shop. I spent a few months with Dad and Mom and learned some of the tricks, so to speak, and then I put out my own shingle and I never looked back. It's been a great journey, and I'm really, it's really been fun, really. So you always loved numbers and you just decided to chart your own course. You spent a few months with Dad and went out into the own world, and it's been great for you ever since. I'm curious, what do you find the most challenging about being an accountant? Well, I think the most challenging thing is when someone comes in and their books are a complete mess. It's like I can grab a hold of it and I can just bring order out of chaos, and they relieve a lot of that tension. I feel like I've actually done something powerful and positive, for a person. Wow. So you really like to make people feel, you like to come out of, bring order out of chaos and make people feel, bring something powerful and positive out of it. I think that's so amazing. Now, one of the things that happens is at some point during any conversation, your brain is going to... How many of you, by the way, when I was talking about being an accountant, how many of you found yourself sorting through your experience trying to find something similar to what I was describing? Anybody have that experience? Just type it in the chat, because that's what I'm going to talk about next. Okay? What you just experienced was what we call in NLP a transderivational search. When we're talking about this protocol, what you're getting is called analog matching. This happens organically all the time. If I start telling a story, your brain starts going through all of its filing cabinets trying to find a similar experience. It does that for the sole purpose of being able to understand the person better, to find commonalities. Okay? And what most people do is they let the person talk, and then when it's their turn to talk, they tell their story, right? This happens on dates all the time. And literally, because women tend to have better social skills than men when it comes to first dates. Man is sitting there trying to impress a woman. And he's talking about how he went to Maui and how he earned 7 figures a year and all the things he's going to do. He's trying to build himself up and impress the person. And again, it could be a man, it could be one, it doesn't matter. I'm just using a classical heterosexual relationship as an example. It doesn't have to be. But they're trying to impress the person. And what does the other person do? They sit there, they smile, they nod. By the end of the night, the person doing all the talking is in love with the person who smiled and nodded. She wants to gnaw her arm off to get away from this boring asshole. Why? Because he didn't do the same thing. He didn't talk to her. He didn't ask her. All he did was tell stories about himself. That's not how it works. Why? Because you brought up a subject. This person went through their filing cabinets trying to find a match. If they got a turn to speak, they started telling their story, and you start swapping stories. The way you hack this, it's something that should happen, but the way you hack this is when it's time to tell your story, you use their words to tell your story. So in this example, I'm talking to my accountant friend, and he's talking about how he just loves when people come in with this big mess, and he reaches in and he can bring order out of chaos, and you can see the relief just come over their face, right? Now, if I were playing the other side of that, we're doing the analog matching, I'll say, you know what, that is an amazing experience. I know when clients come in, their head is full of crap, it's full of trauma, everything's disorganized from all the different experiences, all the different people they've been to, and it's like I can just reach in and clean it up, bring all that order out of chaos. And they come at it with this massive release, like this massive burden has been lifted off their shoulders. And I think that's amazing when you can have an experience like that and just bring that order out and put things back in their proper place. I'm curious about something. Where do you see yourself 4 or 5 years from now? Where, what's next for accountant Jane? So what did I do there? Just deconstruct what I just did in terms of the accountant and myself. What did I do? Oh, it got real quiet real quick, guys. Asked for their vision. Okay. What did I do before that, Curtis? What did I do before that? I told a story, didn't I? I certainly did ask a question, listen up. But when it came time, exactly, Mike. The accountant told his story, and then I said, that reminds me of a time when, or that's just like when. That's my transition into my story. But when I told my story, I used their words. Remember when he was talking about a client comes in and their books are a mess and there's chaos and he brings that. Remember when the accountant was saying those things? I took those words, and when I told my story, I grafted those words into my story. And so now what happens is, whereas before we were at this level of connection, because I told a similar story using their personal emotional words, this happens. Now we're on a deep level of connection. And all we do, go back and watch the replay and transcribe it a little bit. It wasn't the cleanest, but it's there. What happens is when you hack the analog matching process, the coming up with a story that you can tell is a natural part of organic conversation. It's when you take their words and embed them in your story. You use their personal words as part of your story, that you take that connecting process and supercharge it. And all you've got to do is just keep cycling. Ask a question, pay attention, validate the response, echo their words, ask another question. When there's a time for you to tell a story, tell a short version, use as many of their words in it as possible, ask a question, pay attention, validate the response, echo their words, ask another question. And you can go from perfect stranger to BFF in as little as 20 minutes or more. You can go further than that. But now here's the thing I want to caution you on. Remember that throughout this process, you are always evaluating the information the person gives you so that you can decide if they're a fit for what you're looking for or not. You never go to level 3 questions unless you are absolutely positive that you want this person to be a permanent part of your life. You understand that? Most of the relationship needs that you'll have can be fulfilled and satisfied at level 2 questions. Level 3 questions is where you really start to hack the unconscious mind. Okay? Is everybody clear with what I've talked about so far in terms of level 1 questions, level 2 questions? Level 1 questions are all about location, occasion. They have one basic outcome: to get them out of their head into the world, to ask threatening, non-threatening, superficial questions, right? Which gives you the ability to have something to echo, something to ask, something to echo. Okay? When you hit level 2 Level 2 questions are always about career, pleasure, passion, fun. Why? Well, the reason when I first learned this, it was only career. Everybody has an idea for a business or a book. And so the minute you get them talking about it, they go into a profound pleasure state. Now, what's interesting about level 2 questions? Now, in the first example, I asked, so I'm curious, what made you want to become an accountant in the first place? I mean, I bet there's an origin story there. The first example I gave you was very positive, right? His mom and dad were both accountants. They both loved math. They did math together. They had fun with math. Boom, right? And the person goes into a profound pleasure state, talking about that profound fun experience. But here's the interesting part. Let's say I ask a different accountant that question, and they say, well, my mom and dad were good at math. Math came easy to me. I figured, well, it's a no-brainer. I'll just go work with mom and dad, and when they pass on, I'll just inherit the business, and I'll take it over, right? It's a done-for-you business in a box kind of a thing. And, I just think that, I have a lot of interesting ideas, but I can't implement them because my dad is too stuck in his ways. My mom supports my dad. Once they're gone, it'll be mine, and I'll be able to do whatever I want. And after I get out of rehab and move out of my parents' basement, things are going to be great. What's interesting, by the way, both are valid answers to the how did you become an accountant question. But they give you very profoundly different profiles of that person's psyche, don't they? Right? Here's what's funny. The person who gave you the second story, how it was the easy path, least resistance, they'll be just as happy telling you that story. Yes, the basement is getting out of the basement is the red flag and the rehab, right? But I make a joke, but here's the thing. They'll be just as excited about talking to you, saying that, as the other one, where he's has that pot. Why? Because no matter what question you're asking, if you're doing the echo technique properly, they're talking about their favorite subject and they're feeling validated. They're feeling accepted. And as long as you maintain that echo sequence, sincerely, they will just unload the most heinous stuff that they think you're perfectly accepting of. But you'll be able to create a profile in your mind that says, okay, this is who this person really is. So, one of the things I have to caution you about, always be testing. If you're doing this properly, you will start to become connected. No level 3 for basement dwellers. Yes, that's very true. Right? All right. So, we'll go to level 3 in just a moment. But, for the sake of clarity, and again, just to remind you that the clock is running, right? For those of you who are still on the fence about the Secrets of Human Influence home study course, this is what we've got going on, along with the fast action bonus. It's a $2,497 value. It's going to include the Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets course, $1,997 value. We're going to include that free. We're going to give you the Renegade Reframing Instant Conversational Belief Change home study course for $1,997. We're going to give that to you free. Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get 3 months of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program and unlimited access for those 90 days to the 11-year video archive. It's a $1,597 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course. It's a $997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. And finally, you're going to get that VIP bonus ticket to the next Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts live 5-day certification boot camp, August 30th through September 3rd, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a $2,250 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. Total package value is $13,325. You can get all of it and a whole lot more for one low investment of $997, or you can break that up into 3 easy payments of $397 each. All you got to do to get yours is go to killerinfluence.com / you guessed it, go. Go. www.killerinfluence.com / go. Okay? One more time with feeling, www.killerinfluence.com/go. All right, let's get back to level 3 questions. Now, level 3 questions, once again, got to be careful. If you reach that transition point and you're on the fence, you're not sure one way or another, stay at level 2. Because if you do level 3 and you haven't profiled this person properly, you could A, wind up in a relationship that is codependent, masochistic, or you could wind up with a stalker. Okay? Level 3 is once again where the rubber hits the road. Level 3 is always about early positive childhood experiences. Early positive childhood experiences. The sample template question that we use is, so I'm curious, where did you grow up? Who are your friends? What did you love to play at as a little kid? Right? A question I have to ask every now and then, and I usually do this with a very playful tonality, is I'm curious, who was your secret crush? Who did you absolutely have the hots for that you never wanted anybody to know about? Right? Now, one of the things that you need to understand is that in the human psyche, and in my 15 years of private practice, not counting all the years of influence and persuasion training and things like that, I have literally looked into the hearts and minds of thousands of human beings. And when you peel back those layers and you open up what's inside, you find the same thing. You find a scared human being, a scared little child, terrified of being alone and desperate to be loved and accepted. Bar none, every one of us has that child inside. Along the same lines, the earlier memories that we have, the earlier the memory we have, the more foundational it is to our personality, our sense of deservingness, our sense of identity in the world. When you ask somebody questions that have to do with their earliest positive childhood experiences, you're literally taking the express train back to their earliest, most fundamental memories. And all the feelings and emotions connected to that memory. Literally, it's like it opens up and the movie plays behind their eyes while they're looking at you. Now, if the movie's playing behind their eyes and they're accessing all the feelings, who are they looking at when those feelings and emotions come up? Type it in. Right? Very good. Now, I'm betting at some point in your life, you met somebody. And even though you may have only known them for a few minutes or a short amount of time, it suddenly felt like you knew them your entire life. Like for some reason they'd always been there. And all the barriers just fall away and you just open up and connect fully with this person. Right? You've all had that experience with somebody. True, not true? Okay. When you have somebody access a memory, it's called pseudo-orientation in time. As that memory opens up and it starts to play inside of them and they're looking at you, yes, they're feeling all those wonderful feelings from that experience. But what literally happens is that sense of time connected to the memory, you insert yourself into that memory and they instantly feel like they've known you since that memory was created. And this is how love is formed. Shared positive emotional experiences, emotional highs and lows. So when you use level 3 questions, you're literally using the Wayback Machine, the TARDIS if you're a Doctor Who fan, back to their earliest, most powerful positive memories. You're walking out of the TARDIS and into their world. And then all that time distortion and that sense of knowing you since that memory was created in all the positive ways gets linked to you and they instantly trust you because they've known you for that long, subjectively. Get it? Yes or no? Yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker would say. Cool. Hold on, there was a question that went by really quick. Repeat this again. Can you ask that question again? Whoever this, the chats went by too fast. Repeat this again about the significance of the level. Okay, so when you do level 3 questions, early positive childhood experiences, they're going to fly back on the wings of time to an early childhood memory that was positive for them. When they do that, you literally insert yourself into that memory for them. You become connected to it, embedded within it. And so that sense of time gets grafted on to you. It gets stuck to you. So they start to feel like they've known you since that memory was first created. Now, they're going to start telling stories again, right? When they start telling stories about that early positive childhood experience, guess what you do? You listen. You pay attention. You validate. You echo. You tell a version of your story using their words, just like in level 2. But now, because you're in that early phase of their life where they're most suggestible, where they're most malleable, you create this massive connection, trust, love, and attraction sensation, bonding sensation, at a childhood level that has the sensation of being 10, 20, 30, 40 years old. So again, I'm not saying don't use it. I'm saying be very, very sure, if you are going to use it, that the person you're using it on, A, is worthy of the gift, and B, is psychologically healthy. Okay? Yeah, Mike says this is powerful. Yes, this is ridiculously powerful. Okay? Think about what you could do with just the echo technique at the beginning of the webinar. Think of what you felt on the emotional bonding checklist. Think about what this does. What happens if you use them all inside the 3 Magic Questions protocol? What if you actually started drilling down on all the reasons why those positive experiences were important to them? Guess what gets connected to you too as well? Now remember, if you ask, again, this goes the other way now. If you ask somebody to talk to you about an early positive childhood experience, and the first thing they do is tell you about a time when Uncle Woody took him back behind the wood pile to show him a different kind of wrestling, warning, red flag, right? Remember, there's a lot of people out there who are shopping for a mommy, a daddy, or a therapist under the guise of a relationship. This 3MQ protocol will have those people rise to the surface so you can filter them out. But if you succumb to compassion, if you succumb to the idea, well, with just the right guidance, with just the right potential, they could be amazing, you're going to get stuck. From this point forward, if you understand this protocol and you're applying it consciously and deliberately, you no longer waste your time on people with potential. You spend all of your time and energy on people who match you in a way that's desirable and are actualizing their potential. Because your own body feelings, your own emotional connection will undermine your judgment if you don't stick to your evaluation criteria. Remember, always be testing. Do you follow me? How do you smoothly escape an existing client? I think we need a little more context for that, Rob, but okay. How does this fit into law of attraction? Law of attraction is going to pull people into your life that are in harmony with your dominant thoughts and personal vibrational signature. If you're doing your law of attraction work well, more people who you filter through the 3 magic questions process will fit your criteria. This is why in Soulmate, we have a class called Soulmate Secrets, which is all about utilizing law of attraction to find your ideal partners. The one thing that we find more and more and more about people looking for their ideal partners is they don't have a clear picture, a clear idea of what that template or for that ideal partner actually is. They can't, and if you ask them to write down, they can't. So we spend a good chunk of that training helping people get clarity on what they actually want in a partner and how they know they're getting it. Then once they have that, a lot of times their partner just manifests automatically. We had one guy, Moss, he's one of my Mega Platinum students. He went through Soulmate Secrets the first time. Within 2 weeks, he had his perfect girlfriend. They've been together ever since. Right? But again, as we evolve, it doesn't mean, by the way, your perfect partner does not mean they're a perfect person. These people that you bring into your life are going to have shit. Why? Because you've got shit. Everybody's got shit. The people that we encounter are designed to bring out the best in us by triggering sometimes the best and the worst in us. But if you don't know what actually makes you happy and what that actually looks like out in the real world, if you can't externalize it, you can't manifest it. So there's a lot of interaction and interconnectedness between Law of Attraction, Soulmate Secrets, and this material. Because one of the things that happens a lot with people who are looking for their soulmates is they have this vibrational orientation. They believe in magic, but they don't have the skill set to attract. They leave that up to the universe. I find that if you actually fulfill both sides of that spectrum, you have a much greater level of choice in what you get from the universe. You will get a broken heart again. Have an AA client, Vietnam vet, not military with common background. Okay. Well, first of all, if they're a client, you may need to maybe, I don't know why you want to get rid of the client. So again, I can't, and I think it's better, Rob, if we have that discussion in person. If you come to like Identity by Design next month, or Killer Influence, talk to me about that rather than sharing all that information here on a live forum. I think he means, how do you exit the level of intimacy? The most direct way to do it is to violate their values. If you've taken the time to list their emotional bonding checklist and you know exactly what their emotional hot buttons are, you also know exactly what to do to get rid of them. You do the exact opposites. But I wouldn't do that. It's gonna be very damaging to them. It's a daily phone call taking too much time. Okay. I have ideas, but what do the Hebrew letters or words behind me mean? These are a sequence of Hebrew letters designed to balance the energy and vibrations of the month for the astrological sign of Cancer. It's a meditation that allows you to harmonize your energies and your emotions and things like that. I teach this to my advanced students. All right. Could you example of validating their value? All right. This kind of puts the cherry on the sundae. But before I do this one example, let me just remind you once again that we're coming up to the last call, so to speak, for our vibration, our package. So once again, for those of you on the fence, this is our Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It's a $2,479 value. It includes the weapons of mass instruction. It's a $1997 value. We're going to give that to you free. Renegade Reframing, the Art of Conversational Belief Change, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. Charisma and Conversion. Oops, my bad. $1,997 value, absolutely free. The NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Trial, $1,597, absolutely free. Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, $997. We're going to give it to you free. And of course, that VIP Super Ticket, valued at $2,250. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. Total package value is $13,325, but you can get it all for one low installment of just $997. Or if you need a little extra help, you can break that up into 3 easy payments of $397 each. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Click the link, and answer any questions that you have. So Etienne's asking, could you example of validating their value? Well, I've been actually kind of doing that through every example. But let's talk about the one example I use for relationships specifically. It goes back to the emotional bonding checklist. Okay? So, if I ask person A, what's something you absolutely have to have in a relationship? Person A goes to me, respect. I go, oh, wow, respect. That's cool. So I'm curious, just so I understand you better, how do you know when you're getting the respect that you need? How do you know? Person A says, well, that's easy. I know that you respect me when you tell me the truth. I know that you respect me when you don't worry about whether what you're going to say is going to hurt my feelings or not. You tell me the truth and you're honest with me because I deserve the truth. That's how I know you respect me. Person B goes, cool. Person A says to person B, so I'm curious. What's important to you about a relationship? What do you absolutely have to have in a relationship? Person B says, well, just like you, respect. I know that I can't be in a relationship where somebody doesn't respect me. Person A says, okay, so respect means different things to different people. How do you know when you're being respected? Person B says, well, that's easy. I know you respect me when you tell me the truth, but you do it in a way that doesn't make me feel bad about myself, doesn't make me look like a dumbass, doesn't embarrass me, or cause me to feel bad about things in any way. When you can say things to me in a diplomatic, balanced way, that's how I know you respect me. Now, on one level, person A, their primary value is respect. Person B, their primary value is respect. But the rules by which they recognize they're getting respect, they're different, aren't they? What do you think is going to happen when these two people get into a disagreement? What do you think? This person is going to be blunt. This person is going to meander and dissemble and be, try to soften everything. Neither one of them is going to feel respected. But each will claim to God, the universe, and little green apples that they're giving the other person respect. Why? Because they're projecting how they do respect onto the other person. The words match, but the rule doesn't. So when you ask what's important about, you also need to know how they recognize it. And this is how you violate values. This is how you match values. This is how you violate values. If somebody gives you the value of respect and their rule is you're diplomatic to me and you explain things in a way that doesn't hurt my feelings, all you have to do is be an asshole or just be very blunt and they'll feel violated and they'll push back, they'll move away, right? So the fastest way to get people to move out of your orbit is to act in a way that is not in harmony with their values. And the greater their level of self-esteem, the faster they'll move away. Does that answer the questions you guys were asking me? Okay? So again, a lot of our influence technique comes down to something very, very fundamental. Your ability to pay attention to the cues and the information the person is giving you. The more information that you have about the subject, the easier they are to influence. The more you know them better than they know themselves, the easier they are to control, to influence. Okay? But now remember, we're not here to take advantage of people. We're not here to mislead people. If all you do is use a person's very own words to keep them connected to you, your product, or service, and you do it long enough, they will ask to do business with you. They will almost do business with you out of default. It's not, I don't want to say robotic in a bad way. Now, I'll give you, for business, for any context really, but really this goes into business work, for business applications. For those of you who are going to use the emotional bonding checklist, echo technique, or 3 magic questions for business, when you take the time to elicit a person's checklist, their emotional bonding values and rules, let's say you have a product that has 37 features. But the values and the rules that they gave you only match 3. The only features you talk about in your 37 feature product or service are the 3 that came out of their mouth. You do not talk about any of the other 34. And if you do that effectively, they will just jump at it. They will just ask to buy. They'll give you almost no resistance. But the moment you start to get creative, the moment you've talked about, you've got 37 things that give you 3. The moment you move away from those 3 and start talking about any of the other 34, you'll literally see their faces change. You'll see the lights go out. They'll start to lose interest. Why? Because that's not in their list. It's not about how many things your product or service will do. It's always about what they want, what is right and natural in their world. You get me? You follow me? Right? So when you stop and you think about everything you can do, what you can now do from this webinar with just the 3 or 4 techniques that I've shared with you, if you apply those, you see yourself applying those to every aspect of your life, imagine what you can do with the full system. Imagine what you can do with the ability to overcome any objection or just completely eliminate them because you go right to the things they want to buy or want to do instead of all the shit they don't. Right? Telling compelling stories. Right? Hanging out with people you love that validate and make you feel good about yourself, that you can practice with and talk about this stuff without feeling weird. Right? I encourage you, if you liked even a tiny piece of what we got on the webinar, grab one of those few remaining packages and join me in Las Vegas, August 30th through September 3rd or 4th. Sorry, am I getting too quiet? All right. Join me in Las Vegas, August 30th through September 3rd. Right? Click that link, killerinfluence.com/go. And I got time for like 1 or 2 more questions, and I'm going to go ahead and take those bonuses away. What do you got? What are the 3 questions? There are 3 levels of questions, Deborah. First one is location, occasion. Second is career, passion, pleasure, fun. And then the third is early positive childhood experiences. All right. And on that note, for those of you in the YouTube world, thank you so much for joining with us. If you have questions, when the replay for this video goes live, by all means, type them in the chat. If you have questions regarding the package or customizing your packages, reach out to Stephanie at nlppower.com, 858-282-4663. It's 858-282-4663. I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. My intention is to get more content up on the tube as soon as I can. This session will probably take a good 30 or 40 minutes to render, but it should be openly available to the public sometime tonight. That being said, in the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Good night. God bless. Use these skills and make your life everything you want it to be. Click that link. Join us in Las Vegas. Get your package. Let us know how we can help you take your life to the next level. I love you all. Take care.